upset with it. I think my biggest issue with Todd Downing and the play calling has been, why are you giving the ball to Cody Hollister?
Yeah.
Why is the ball in Jeff Swaim's hands? Put the ball in Robert Woods' hands, put the ball in Derrick Henry's hands, put the ball in Traylon Burke's hands, and that's what they were doing in the first half. And it was
Yeah, in the first
working.
half,
Yeah.
they got the ball to the guys that they knew could make plays, and they got big chunk plays,
Right.
which was a bonus.
And that's not rocket science.
and
Your
yeah,
best
it's
players
just
make the best plays.
Do what you do. Set the guys up. They kept everything simple. They ran a lot of three wides, two tight ends. Kept Oakland off balance.
Right.
Kept that offensive line moving. And Tannehill was able to hit some big plays down the field. It was the second half that just threw everybody off. I don't know if they walked at the halftime and say, listen, we got a 24-10 lead. Let's try to milk the clock. I don't know what went on. But when they came out the second half.
24-10 lead is comfortable. That's not comfortable enough.
No,
because
we've seen teams come back from 30 points down this season.
Oh, yeah.
So you can't just sit on a 24-10 lead and expect, okay, we'll be fine. But it seems as if that's the way they came out. Like, okay, we're good. We're just going to try to run the football. We're not going to do anything that's going to hurt us, which they did a bit with the intercept. That was a bad interception.
It was a bad
that
interception.
Ryan Tannehill threw. Because he checked out of the play, and either Robert Woods didn't hear it, he didn't know the depth of the route, or Ryan Tannehill missed it, because after the play, Ryan immediately went up to him and they started talking. So there was a miscommunication. But that was even if he would have ran the route, the depth it was supposed to be, because that route was supposed to be shorter, but it was supposed to be an out, it still would have been a bad throw because the defender was still sitting right there. They played the route. It was a bad throw. But the defense played well. They got over that. They stopped Las Vegas. And they were able to go about their business. But this offense didn't do anything to help their defense the second half. And luckily, Las Vegas isn't a well-coached team. They're not. They have talent, but they're not a well-coached team. I texted this to you guys last night. It reminded me of two teams that were not good. They're okay teams, but the difference is one team has a bad head coach, and one team has a really good head coach. That was the tale of the two teams. Both of them were not, from a roster standpoint, both of them aren't great teams. They got some really good players at individual spots, but it's the coaches.
But the Raiders undoubtedly have a better roster.
Absolutely.
On paper, undoubtedly a better
But they
roster.
have the worst coach.
Yeah.
They have the worst head coach. So, this Tennessee Titan team in the second half, they got to find a way to generate some of that, whatever it was in the first half of the Giants game, even the Buffalo game. They played them well in the first half. It was the second half in both of those games, including this game, that they just completely I don't want to say they quit, because I know they didn't, but they didn't execute the way that they were executing in the first half in all three games.
And that's the problem. Is it would be an issue if it was an isolated incident, if that's what cost you the game against the Giants, because it very much so did. The Titans took their foot off the gas at the halftime, and the Giants were able to come back and take advantage of that. In the Bills game, it wouldn't have made a difference. I mean, that game was pretty far gone, but it's still the sentiment of, in the second half, either we are too comfortable with this lead, or we're too comfortable being so far behind that we're going to kick our feet up, and it happened again against the Raiders. This time it didn't cost them the game, but it doesn't mean it's not an issue, because there's going to be a certain time. I don't know if it's against the Colts. I don't know if it's later on in the season, but there is going to be a point in time this season where the Tennessee Titans are not up 24-10 at half, and they can't afford to kick their feet up at half, and they're not playing a team, as you mentioned, that's as poorly coached as the Raiders are, and it's going to come back and bite them in the butt. So, and I think the problem here is pretty obvious, that it's the coaching staff.
Yeah, you can point to that, because my thing was, as we're watching the game yesterday, it doesn't seem, because we were talking before the half, and I wondered, okay, they're playing a really good first half.
Right.
I know Oakland. I'll say Oakland.
I do that with the Raiders, and I do it with the Chargers all the time. I call them San Diego more times than I'd like to admit.
The Las Vegas, I'm just going to call them the Raiders.
The Raiders.
Raiders, you knew the Raiders were going to make adjustments. You knew they were. But you didn't know if the adjustments would affect the Titans that much that they would allow Oakland to the Raiders to get back in the game. Well, the Raiders made adjustments. The Titans didn't make any adjustments, especially on offense. They didn't make any adjustments. If they felt, to me, I think they felt what we were doing in the first half was good enough, so we're going to continue to do it in the second half. Well, if the Raiders are making adjustments to what you're doing in the first half, yeah, you're going to get some plays, but you're not going to get sustained plays and points if you don't change anything from the first half to the second half. And that's exactly what happened. The Titans were able to move the ball a little bit, but they were not able to sustain drives and score. Because why? Because the Raiders did some changes at half, and they came out and played a lot better on defense, whereas the Titans didn't play a lot better on offense.
Yeah, they had a much more difficult time running the ball in the second half.
Yes.
And it was very obvious from the very beginning of the third quarter how difficult or how much the Raiders were stuffing the run and making that a number one priority to stop the run. But the Titans didn't make those adjustments. They committed themselves to the run, which normally I wouldn't have a problem with. But I think there gets to a certain point where you just cannot keep running the football.
No. Well, I mean, they figured, we were successful in the first half. We're going to come out in the second half. And again, they did have some plays in the second half.
Yeah.
But it wasn't plays that sustained drives or plays that score points. It was plays that got them to a point, the 50-yard line or, the 45 of the Raiders, and then they had to punt. They never seriously got in a scoring position against the Raiders in the second half, and that's disappointing.
And they set themselves up into bad positions. I mean, looking at the beginning of the second half, first and 10, Tannehill hand off to Derrick Henry up the middle, no gain. In that second and 10, you got a 5-yard penalty. You got too many men on the field with 12 men in the huddle, which was just dumb. That's just a dumb penalty.
You see people running in and out of huddle. That's all about communicating. That's what I mean. In the second half, the Titans have a problem with communicating with one another. And it's shown in every other game. And that was just an example. You got 3 guys running in a huddle, and you got 2 guys running out. Nobody's screaming, hey, come out the huddle.
Yeah.
And nobody's, at least the quarterback, isn't stepping out of the huddle to make sure you got 12. You can't do that. You go from 2nd and 5 or 2nd and 7 to, 2nd and 12 or 2nd and 13.
And then they got themselves in an even deeper hole because now it's 2nd and 15. I mean, Tannehill's on the run, under pressure, targets Derrick Henry, and then you got that 5-yard penalty for the ineligible man on the field. Nicholas Petit-Frere going downfield, which I have to give Nicholas Petit-Frere credit. I think he had a fine game.
He had a good game,
I think there were some growing pains there that made it very obvious, hey, you're still a rookie. You're still learning. You're still growing. Because there was one play in particular where I saw he's been doing this several times where he doesn't know who to block. He blocks the same guy as Nate Davis. And I think there was one play, I believe it was Max Crosby. He just had an open lane to just go hit Ryan Tannehill. You give Max Crosby an open lane, he's going to take it. So I think there were a couple growing pains there. But now it's 2nd and 20. It's really difficult to dig yourself out of that hole.
Yeah, there's not many plays you can call for 2nd and 20.
No.
Not
when Ryan Tannehill is your quarterback.
Not when Ryan Tannehill is your quarterback, and you don't have those legitimate playmakers on the outside or at the tight end position that can get you big chunk yards. Hats off to Robert Woods because he played a really good game.
He had a solid game.
A solid game. He got them some big plays down the field. But everyone else needs to start picking up the slack. Burks had a huge drop. The ball was a little bit behind him. But that's a catch that I know he believes he can catch or he can make. So those catches he got to make in those critical times. But other than that, I think this offense in the first half did a really good job. It was the second half that was very disappointing.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. We will get to your phones early. We'll get to your phones often because it is your day. It is a Reaction Monday. It's Titans Monday. Again, Titans beat the Raiders. They get their first win on the season, 24-22 in Nissan Stadium. We'll be taking your thoughts on that all show long. But I also have to let y'all know that we are at Bridgestone. We're at Bridgestone Arena. We're at Barrel House because we've got a Preds game day today. Preseason gets kicked off today. The Preds game day brought to you by Social Furniture. Shop today to get rewarded with social cash back. Buy $1,000, get $125 cash back on your social furniture gift card. Shop local, shop social in West Nashville.
College football.
Touchdown, Georgia. Nice catch and move by Holden. Touchdown.
Lives here. Don't miss every exciting play each Saturday.
Into the end zone. Touchdown to the freshman, Dane Key.
It's all presented by Twin Peaks, your home of 20-degree drafts and wall-to-wall sports, and by Superbook Sports on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey everyone, Joe Rexo here for FanDuel Sportsbook, the absolute best place to bet the NFL for many reasons, including new players or game props. And what's cool is you can combine these props with other bets from the same game on FanDuel Sportsbook to score an even bigger payout. How about tonight's game, a little Monday Night Football, those surprising Giants hosting the Cowboys. I tell you what, I'm going to go Saquon Barkley to score an anytime touchdown. I'm going to do the same thing with CeeDee Lamb. I think I'm going to take the Cowboys on the money line with this one, too. I think they douse the excitement because Cooper Rush is playing well. You do whatever you want to do, and just understand that same-game parlay is one of many reasons to bet with FanDuel. It's easy to use. Live betting is awesome. Fast withdrawals, odds boosts, and specials. There's no nailing a same-game parlay. Lock it in today. And if you're new to FanDuel Sportsbook, got to be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. First online room anywhere. Only $10 first deposit required. Bonus issue is now withdrawable. Free bets expire 14 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line 800-889-9789.
Hey, it's Hutton. Guys, do you need an annual health exam? I recommend going to Low T Center to get your complete health assessment. They will check all of your levels, not just your T level. In most cases, it's completely covered by your health insurance. And if you don't have insurance, it's less than $100 for a full lab panel and an office visit with their medical provider to give you a complete health assessment. Low T Center specializes in men's health, making it quick and easy, even verifying your insurance. Go to lowtcenter.com now to book online. Low T Center, reinventing men's health care.
Are you getting hit hard with higher costs and higher interest rates? Is your credit card rate going up every month? Hey, Willy Donick, how'd you like to wipe out those credit cards before the holidays? Call Loan Pronto. Your home equity can rescue you right now. Your home's value is still way up, and there's a ton of cash that you can get. Loan Pronto specializes in zero-cost cash-out home refis. Get tens of thousands in as little as 2 weeks. Pay off credit cards and consolidate everything into one super low payment. People who do this usually cut around $800 from their monthly budget. And even if your home mortgage rate goes up a little bit, it's offset by your credit card rate going to zero. When rates come back down, Loan Pronto will refinance you again for free. Call Loan Pronto. Do it now. You can even skip your next 2 house payments altogether. Call 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. That's 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
If you missed the latest from Stillman & Company, delivered by TriStar Moving.
Caleb Farley stinks. And this has been a problem. It was a problem in training camp where Racey McMath would run right by him and Tannehill would throw the deep ball. And then they practiced the Buccaneers. Vincent Smith ran right by him and Blaine Gabbert missed him, but it would have been a touchdown. And then in the preseason game against the Buccaneers, Scotty Miller runs right by him and Kyle Trask misses him. And I'm sitting there thinking like, man, he gets beat deep a lot. There's a lot of getting beat deep, and number 3, Farley, is staring at the play. Or Farley is late on a ball, or he plays off the sticks like he did against the Ravens, or he's jumping up and down when the ball's on the ground against the Buccaneers, or whatever.
Tune in Stillman & Company with Jared Stillman. Weekday afternoons from 2 to 6.
On ESPN.
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app. We want to hear from you.
Thanks for taking the call.
Join the conversation. Call or text at 615-737-1025. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. This is Chase, Willy, and DMase on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
Losing your left tackle this week to protect Ryan and get off to the start that you all did, how important was that to be able to stack up 24 points in the first half?
Yeah, it was amazing. You know, I mean, it was great. That's what the expectations are. Converted there at the end where we were able to get a stop, punt, and get some points there. That's kind of what we were looking for. We wanted to take the ball, went down, scored. and then just could never get anything going in the second half. And the momentum, really just switched, and they were, able to convert, hit X plays or whatever it may be. But, we got to finish better, but I love the way they compete and fought. Give the Raiders a lot of credit, but I got to give our guys a lot of credit.
There you go. That was Mike Vrabel yesterday, post-game again. Titans getting their first win on the season, 24-22 over the Raiders. And you can look at it like this. Titans got to win. When they absolutely, positively needed a win to keep their season alive, to keep the postseason hopes alive, they got to win. It wasn't pretty, but it was beautiful. Because that second half very much so was not pretty. Just a complete momentum shift in the second half. We saw it against the Giants, ultimately cost the Titans game. We saw it yesterday too. They had so much good offensive momentum. They were able to get a lot moving in the first half offensively, and you just didn't see it in the second half. So my question for you, DMase, my question for the texters, for the callers, all the listeners, again, taking your thoughts at 615-737-1025 all show long. Who's culpable for that? Because this isn't just an isolated incident anymore. We now have 2 of 3 games where the Titans were up at the half, they looked good in the first half, and it looked like a completely different team in the second half. So who was culpable for that? Who does that fall on?
I mean, I'm sure that, in that building, they're saying, we're all culpable for it. We're all to blame because the way we played the first half was a team effort. The second half also was a team effort, but in the other direction. But I think, ultimately, it falls on your head coach and your leaders. It falls on Vrabel to make sure that his team comes out with the energy ready to play in the second half. And I know how it gets sometime in the first half, and between the first and the second half. You run in the locker room, you've exerted all this energy, and you're up, you're excited, you go into halftime, and, coaches are saying, great job, this is what we've done, this is what we need to do in the second half. So there's a bunch of stuff going on in the locker room. And then you come back out, and you're trying to find that something to get yourself generated. And it's usually that first drive. That first drive dictates more or less how the second half is going to go. Because if you get a drive, you score 3 points or you score 7 points.
You're on the board.
You're on the board. It's a good drive. Now everybody's on the sideline. They're energized. The defense is well rested. We're ready to go. It didn't happen like that for the Titans. Obviously, the Raiders had the ball coming out of half. They ended up going down, scoring 3 points, I believe. I think on that, no, it wasn't that drive. They scored the next drive after half. They had a drive, then the Titans had one, then the Raiders had one, scored 3 points. But the Titans' first drive, they got nothing. Incomplete passes, stuff runs, and then they got to punt the ball. That coming out of half, especially when you don't have the ball first and you've been sitting on the sideline as an offense, you come back on the field, that's demoralizing because it's like, okay, our defense has done their job. They've stopped Oakland on their first drive. Now is our time, is our opportunity to put the game further ahead for us. Well, they came out and basically was a no-show for the first series. So now you go back on the sideline, you're demoralized. That's why I says it's up to the head coach to make sure his team is ready to play coming out of half. And then it's up to the leaders when that first drive isn't going well, Ryan, Kevin Byard, Jeffrey Simmons, Robert Woods. And not to say they didn't do it because I don't know, but they have to make sure that they keep the pulse of the team. The leaders must keep the pulse of their team to know, hey, I need to either do something or say something to get this team riled up and back on the winning track. And for some reason, it just didn't happen. You didn't see that enthusiasm. The only time you saw that enthusiasm is when Byard intercepted the ball.
Yeah.
That was the only time. Other than that, you saw a team that was just trying to hold on to a victory. It wasn't like they were going out to win the game. They were trying to hold on to a
not
victory.
Lose it.
Exactly, absolutely. So they can't, moving forward, this team can't continue to do that and think that they're going to win games.
And you could look at the second half and look at momentum killers like you mentioned. Go out and get in your first possession after the half, go out and do something. Get everyone excited, get everyone riled up, and continue that momentum from the first half. But if you look, at the first drives after the half, you had those too many men in a huddle penalty, stupid, and then you had the ineligible man downfield penalty, PT as Chris Sanders calls him. So you got 2 5-yard penalties on 2 back-to-back downs, and then you had the interception. Just the bad interception from Tannehill, bad read from Tannehill, bad decision on Tannehill. Because on the broadcast, they did kind of like a 360-foot view, like a bird's eye view of the field. Each receiver was covered, if not double teamed. So bad decision on Tannehill to continue to throw that ball. But okay, that's a momentum killer. That interception right there. Titans get the ball back. Raiders punt. Titans get the ball back, and then in that next possession is when they decide to go for it on 4th and 4. Which even if they would have gotten it, why go for it there? I disagree with the decision to go for it at 4th and 4. Even if they would have gotten it, I didn't like it.
I didn't. Watching the game, and why he chose to do that, I can only speculate and assume it was because he knew that the momentum had shifted.
Right.
And that he needed to do something.
Needed to get a big game.
To spark his team, yes. If they get that 4th down, now the energy level is up. Everybody's ready to go. But they didn't. And it was I'm like you, whether they would have gotten it or not, to me, at that juncture of the game, where the ball was, it was a bad call.
It didn't make sense.
It didn't make sense whatsoever. I can see if you were down, it was 5 minutes left in the game.
Right.
Yes,
you absolutely positively
have to
keep possession.
But you could have played field position. I'm sitting there, and Michelle's sitting next to me, and I'm like, just play the field position game.
Right.
That's all you need to do. But to me, I don't think it's 2 reasons I believe why he did it. One, he's trying to get his team going.
Right. He's trying to get the ball on the field.
I don't think as good as Stonehouse is, he's not great at pinning people back. So he believed that if we punt, he's just going to kick it in the end zone anyway.
Right.
And it's going to bring it back. It'll be at the 20-yard line anyway. So we might as well go, And he trusted that his defense, they were playing well. He trusted that his defense, even if they didn't make it, that they would get stops and get the ball back to him. So I didn't understand it. I didn't agree with it. Even if they had gotten it, I wouldn't agree with it.
Right.
But those are the things that are sort of like double-edged swords. If you get it, it energizes your team. If you don't get it, it demoralizes your team, and then it puts the defense back in a position where they're behind 8 ball.
And you're shooting yourself in the foot.
Absolutely.
And then on that 4th and 4 play call, I thought it was a great ball from Tannehill. I was fine with the play call. But the Treylon Burks, watching Treylon Burks, I felt like, to me, and you'll have better insight on this than I would. I looked at that as Treylon Burks saw it as an opportunity to make a really big play, and he got overly excited. Well, kind of a rookie mistake of he got excited, he saw the ball, he jumped up for the ball when he didn't really necessarily have to jump up for the ball, and eventually missed it. And then, of course, it's turnover on downs, and the Raiders get the ball.
Yeah, I'm sure that's one that Treylon wish he could have had back.
Oh, yeah.
He beat the guy on the man-to-man route, in route, and I'm sure what he was thinking, Ryan throws the ball, it's a bit behind him. He feels, Treylon Burks, that if I can't just stop, because my momentum is going a little bit too fast, I can't just stop and try to catch the ball. If I jump, it slows me down just enough that I can have an opportunity to catch the ball. Well, now you've moved the trajectory of the ball. Now it went from possibly being on your chest, to where it's an easier catch, to now it's low and behind you,
right?
Which makes that a harder catch. And mind you, the defensive back is trailing you. He's behind you. So now you give him an opportunity to make a play on the ball. And that's what happened. So 4th and 4, great. It was a great play call. You can't bang down on that.
I had no problem with the play call.
Great play call. You saw the defense, man-to-man. You knew they were going to try to stop Henry. Ryan Tannehill, it could have been a better ball, yes, but it's a catchable ball. And Burks, that's one Burks just has to come up with.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. Again, we'll get back to your phones, your thoughts on the Titans' win over the Raiders. But coming up next, did the Titans win this game, or did the Raiders lose it? Want to get into that coming up next. It's Chase, Willy, and DMase 1025, 1063 The Game.
Hey, Preds fans.
Sliding across to make the save is Sarah.
You can now hear Nashville's best sports talk.
The backhander, he scores!
And every Predators game on 106.3 FM.
Oh, that was a thing of beauty.
From downtown Nashville to Rutherford and Williamson counties.
Duchesne with the overtime winner.
Catch all the action on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
Fall is finally here, and you know what that means. The Nashville Oktoberfest in Germantown. With VIP tickets, you have all-day access to a dedicated private bar, unlimited Bavarian fare and drinks, luxury bathrooms, and a beer and whiskey tasting. It's first-class accommodations to enjoy the festival in style. Grab your Oktoberfest VIP tickets at thenashvilleoktoberfest.com. The Nashville Oktoberfest 2022, Thursday, October 6th through Sunday, October 9th at Bicentennial Mall in Germantown. Prost, y'all!
Do I need Medicare when I turn 65, or can I wait?
With more than 70 years of experience helping Tennesseans, Farm Bureau Health Plans can answer all your questions about Medicare.
Part A, B, C, D, it's all alphabet soup to me.
So if you're looking for an affordable way to cover the gaps left by Medicare or protection from the high cost of prescription drugs, you can plan on us to make it easy. Find out more at fbhp.com. Farm Bureau Health Plans. Plan on us.
Majestic in its scope, dazzling in its sound, there is nothing to match the experience of hearing, live in concert, The Planets. Experience the ultimate trip through the galaxy. Hear The Planets as Giancarlo Guerrero and the Nashville Symphony perform Gustav Holst's sonic celestial showpiece. Also, Tchaikovsky's virtuosic violin concerto with Augustine Hadelich. Tickets begin at $29. Call 615-687-6400 or order at NashvilleSymphony.org. This Thursday through Sunday at Schermerhorn Symphony Center. The Planets with the Nashville Symphony.
Jonathan Hutton.
You have to put the ball in his hands in that moment.
And Chad Withrow.
My kicker's making no decisions on a football team.
Are in the game. Join them for NFL postgame after every Titans home game. Live from Landshark Bar and Grill in Margaritaville on Broadway. They'll break down that day's game and look ahead to the next one. NFL postgame is presented by Two Rivers Ford, Renter's Warehouse, and Superbook Sports on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, Nashville, this is Dan Lebitard. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
In particular there in the second half, Mike, you talked about the offense. Anything in particular that was...
I mean, we'll just have to look. We kind of got behind the chains a little bit, and, they brought some different looks. And, again, we had to be, anticipating some things would change at halftime. And we just weren't able to make productive plays on first down and extend some drives, and then obviously the turnover there. But, we battled through.
There you go. That was Mike Vrabel after the game yesterday, kind of talking about the shift in momentum and production in the second half. Said, hey, the Raiders brought different looks in the second half. Of course they did. Of course they brought different looks in the second half because the Titans offense was rolling. And that was the problem, was that the Raiders defense brought different looks, and the Titans offense didn't necessarily make those adjustments. Mm-hmm. They didn't make the adjustments at half, and they did not continue to make those adjustments later on in the half. But I want to get into exactly what went wrong on the Raiders side of the ball. Before we do that, I want to get to your phone. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. If you have a thought, phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Cedric is up next.
Hey, what's happening? Hey, listen, we're going to speak this into existence. Mm-hmm. I'm going to start calling you Mr. Canton. What's going on, man?
What's going on?
Hey, now, Caroline, I talked to you and Jared about this very thing last week, and y'all acted like I was crazy. DMase, I tried to tell him I am super concerned right now with the coaching staff, both coordinators, to make adjustments. Since the regular season ended last year, we have been outscored in the second half. I believe it is 67-17 at this point, with no points coming in the fourth quarter. That is solely on the coordinators and the lack of adjustment by Todd Downing. I mean, we're completely getting out coached, man. And I need a Hall of Famer like yourself to speak on this, please. Thanks, sir.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it. Carolyn, we've talked about this for the first two segments, that this team, for whatever reason, this season, it's been a tale of two teams. It's like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. They play one way in the first half, and then in the second half, it's just totally different, and not different in a good way.
Right.
Now, throw out the Bills game, because no matter what they would have did,
I have a tough time taking too much away from
that they were just dominated from start to finish. They played well at spurts in the first half, but
the second half adjustments weren't why they lost that game.
Exactly. They were just not.
They
Buffalo
were
was
down
a better
bad
team.
Buffalo.
Absolutely. But the Giants game and this game, not only did they fail to make the proper adjustments, but they failed to execute whatever play that was called to the way that it was supposed to be executed. And then it's like somebody in that huddle, offensively and defensively, needs to – they need that guy like the heart and soul. Like, there's your leader. You
like
have
your
your
hype
leader.
man, your
you have your
spirit
leader.
squad.
But then there's one guy that is sort of like that energy or that heartbeat of the offense or the defense, that person doesn't have to say anything. He's not necessarily your quote-unquote leader, but you know that this guy gets the team going with whatever he does, whether it be a run, a catch, or a pass. And they need to find that on defense, and they need to find that on offense. Because right now, they don't have a guy that it's so, like you said, that energy guy, that hype guy, that guy that you just look to and you know
the troops can rally around him.
Exactly. We're going to have this guy, he's ready to go, so we need to be ready to go.
Right.
And that's why I say your leaders, they have to step up. Coaching aside, they have to do their job. And they haven't been doing it to the level they need to in the second half, but also the players need to come out and take it amongst themselves and say, listen, we can't continue. If we want to have the season that we are capable of having, we can't continue to come out in the second half and play as if we are the 1985 Bears, like, hey, listen, we stopped them and we can click this thing back up anytime we want to.
Right.
You know, you are not that type, you're not that type of team. You're not built that way. You don't have the personnel. You can't come out and expect, oh, we got a 14-point lead, we're good. You're not good. We've seen 21-point leads get shredded and teams lose. We've seen 28-point leads get shredded and teams lose. And we're talking about good teams. You're not good enough to have a 14-point lead and
kick your
say,
feet up.
We're good.
Right.
You're just not. The personnel's not. So this coaching staff and the leaders on this team, they must figure it out moving forward.
And I think that's kind of where my concern lies is the leadership on the team, yes, but I look at the coaching staff. Why are the adjustments not being made? Why is there no energy coming out at the half? In my opinion, that falls on Mike Vrabel. Because you can talk about the execution, and that's absolutely a part of it. But it just felt like this team, coming out in the second half against the Giants, coming out in the second half against the Raiders, felt uninspired. And for a team that's up by 2 touchdowns coming out of the half, it feels strange. And that's on Vrabel.
It is. And listen, I've been there. It's, you know, you come out, and it's just, for whatever reason, you come out and you don't have that fire, that spunk, or that energy in the second half that you need to have. And you only get it when a big play occurs or something that happens in the game that sort of tilts the scales your way, an exciting play or whatever. And then all of a sudden everyone get energized because you're not getting from the crowd. Why? Because it's not a packed house.
No.
And it seems like Titan fans are sitting on their hands because it's like they don't know what's really going on. Which team are we going to get? They want to be excited about this Titan team, but what they're looking at on the field in the second half, it doesn't warrant for them to get excited. So you can't ask for the energy from the crowd because you're not giving them anything to cheer for.
Right.
You got to find a way now to come out in the second half and sort of this self-imposed energy or will to say, listen, even though we're up, doesn't mean we're going to win. We got to continue to fight and grind. I give it to them. They held them off They held the Raiders off long enough to win the football game. But as we talked before, some of those might have been just self-inflicted wounds by the Raiders themselves. Yes. It wasn't necessarily what you did as a team. It was, Carr missing wide open tight ends, guys dropping footballs, Carr not seeing wide open guys running down the field. That has nothing to do with what the Titans did. Mm-hmm. It had everything to do with what the Raiders didn't do.
And that's why I feel when I look at this game, I lean toward the Raiders lost this game more so than the Titans won. Mm-hmm. Because look, Darren Waller alone. So in the first half, in their very first drive, he drops a football on third down. Raiders kick a field goal, and it could have been a touchdown if he just would have held on to that ball. So Raiders get 3 points when they could have had 7. Later on in the first half, that ball on the left side of the field, he goes for it up with one hand. Mm-hmm. He misses it, but I think if he just would have brought that other arm out, it could have been a catch, and then he had an open line for the end zone.
Exactly.
So that's 7 points that they didn't get because of a Darren Waller drop. And then, of course, the ball in the end zone that got bounced off of his hands and Kevin Byard ultimately intercepted it. But that's just Darren Waller in 3 instances where the Raiders could have had, that's 4 points that they missed. They got 3 when they could have gotten 7. And then another 7 in the end zone and a potential another 7 on that later on in the first half, that second ball. So you're looking at 18 points that the Raiders could have had if Darren Waller was able to bring those balls in. And I know we can play the coulda, shoulda, woulda game all day long, but just one player in Darren Waller and his mistakes cost them 18 points. And then you mentioned the Derek Carr misses, and you mentioned just some of the misreads, and the red zone offense all game long.
It was a dismal for the Raiders.
Yeah.
But, even with that, the Titans still managed to go out there and do just enough.
Just enough to not lose it.
To not lose that game. But just enough to not lose isn't good enough. It's not good enough for your fan base. Mm-hmm. It's not good enough for the owner, and it's not good enough for this team moving forward because you're only in week 3 going on week 4. If you haven't fixed this moving forward, only thing that from here on out, this is what's going to happen. You're going to get even more beat up. Guys are going to get even more tired. And I understand other teams are going to deal with the same thing, but you don't have the depth nor the personnel to weather more injuries or weather guys going in and out of the lineup. You got to make sure you need to do what is called for you to do as a player, and you need to make the necessary adjustments in the second half as a head coach, defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator, or special teams coordinator. You have to make those changes in the second half that's going to put your team in a position to win the ball game. And the last 3 weeks, really, they haven't done it. We want to take out the Bills game. That's just to the side. But beyond that, the first week in this last, yesterday's game, they didn't do what they needed to do necessary to really win that football game. Again, they held on.
Right.
They played not to lose. They didn't play to win. They played not to lose. I just don't understand why they were not as aggressive in the second half as they were in the first half.
And that's the concerning thing, is that the Titans aren't always going to have an opponent that shoots themselves in the foot and gives you the opportunity to win the game. Mm-hmm. The Titans can't count on the other team to make mistakes. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. We'll get a quick one in before we head to break. Tim is up next.
Tim, are you there, buddy?
We got Tim.
Your home for the MTSU Blue Raiders is 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. Every touchdown.
Yes, touchdown.
Every 3.
Free ball, yes, sir.
It all lives here.
Middle Tennessee.
You can also hear the Blue Raiders in the Borough on 97.5. Middle Tennessee Athletics on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
This is for the men who never settle, the ones who miss the fairway all day and still pull out the big stick, the type of guys who will always prefer to be behind the grill than in front of the camera, and the men who never let their friends forget about a high school nickname. This is the Lodge mentality. This is Twin Peaks.
Who wants to settle for a single TV? With more TVs, bigger screens, plus our fabulous scenic views, there's more to watch at Twin Peaks.
National Playmakers Academy with former Vols Buck Fitzgerald and James Stone, along with former Austin Peay Governor Vic Wright, offer one of the best football developmental organizations in the nation. MPA has over 30 NFL alumni, 800-plus college football scholarship signees, and 25 high school football All-Americans. If you have a student athlete in middle school or high school that is looking for the best football training and college football recruiting help around, contact National Playmakers Academy today, 615-456-2680, or email april.mpafootball@gmail.com.
Hey, all you veterans with a VA loan, if you're feeling the sting of high interest rates and high costs, your home equity can rescue you. Hey, Willy Donick here. Don't be fooled by those so-called VA lenders with high fees and high rates. Call my friends at Loan Pronto, the area's VA loan experts. They can refinance you and get you instant cash from your equity. With a VA loan, you can access up to 100% of your home's value. You can refi with Loan Pronto and pay off the high-rate credit cards and other loans. Consolidate everything into one low payment. Loan Pronto's average VA borrower saves $975 a month. If your home mortgage rate comes up a bit, it's offset by your credit card rate going to zero. When rates drop back, they'll refinance you for free. Call Loan Pronto and unlock that equity and wipe out debt. Be credit card debt-free for the holidays. Call 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. That's 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
We gather together in communities across the nation to remember and honor, to celebrate and support, to light the night. We are LLS, and when we walk, cancer runs. Find your local event at lightthenight.org.
312 Pizza Company is home to Southeastern Carolines with Caroline Fenton.
Robbie Stanley.
They get a lead in that game and just totally close the door.
Joe Rexrode.
If he plays next year, it's disastrous.
Robbie and Rexrode. Mornings from 6 to 10 on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
I'm ready to step this up a notch.
You're listening to Chase, Willy, and DMase on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Anything that led you in particular to throwing the ball so often to Derek today, Mike?
I think this just was there. I think Ryan was just doing a nice job of taking, what was there. They were getting out there and the umbrella was opening, and we've had other games where that happens, and so staying disciplined and getting it there. So those are huge plays, and Derek is just catch it and get going forward and fall forward, take care of the football. You're looking at 9 yards.
Chase, Willy, and DMase, Caroline Fenton, DMase hanging out with you. That was Mike Vrabel after the game yesterday talking about Derrick Henry's contributions in the passing game. Because, man, oh man, did he look like a wide receiver out there on Sunday. That was the most I have ever seen Derrick contribute in the passing game.
Yeah, I think Coach
Career
said it.
high in receiving yards, I believe. Yeah.
Ryan took what the defense gave him.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't try to press and make ill-advised throws.
Mm-hmm.
He just tried to, and I think this is what they preach. Just try to stay ahead of the change. Don't try to make a play that's not there.
Right.
If it's first down and the defense is giving you that 2-yard dump, take it and expect your running back, whether it be Derrick Henry or here, to break a tackle and get 2 or 3 more yards. Now it's 2nd and 5, 2nd and 4, so now you're staying ahead of the change. And I think that's exactly what Ryan Tannehill did in the first half. It didn't work so much in the second half, but in the first half, it was almost flawless football by the quarterback.
And I think that's the exact game that the Titans want Ryan Tannehill to play, and the exact game where Ryan Tannehill thrives. It's not those 25-yard deep bombs. It's the 2-yard, 3-yard, 4-yard dink and dunk, short passing game situations that Derrick Henry can now contribute in. Because, where Austin Hooper can contribute, Jeff Swaim can contribute, Dontrell Hilliard is good in those short passing situations, and also Derrick Henry. So I think that's why Tannehill had such an effective day, especially the most effective first half that he could, because that's the game that he needs to play. That's the game they want him to play. Safe ball, short situations, move the chains. It doesn't need to be hero ball and, big, long yardage situations on every single play.
Let's talk about quickly Daniel Hilliard.
Yeah.
This guy's he's like their spark plug. He's a guy that they are happy he was able to play yesterday. Had he not been able to play yesterday, this would have been a much different team. Because what he gives them, he's a spark plug for them. He gives them that mismatch from the backfield that they don't necessarily have with Derrick Henry when they're passing. He's a guy you can line up in the backfield. You can line him up wide. You can line him in the slot. And if you line him in the backfield, you still can hand the ball off to him. He's good enough to get yardage. But what he's so effective at is getting those screen passes, getting those swing routes, getting those wheel routes, setting up a mismatch in the middle of the field on that linebacker or that safety. He had a huge play. I think it was, 2nd and 14 or 15 or 3rd or 14 and 15?
Yeah.
A huge play to get the first down. And it was just on a 5-yard route, and he took it the rest of the distance. So having Dontrell Hilliard healthy moving forward is going to be key for this offense.
Oh, absolutely. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. We'll get to your thoughts. It is a Titans Monday. It is your day. So we'll go to the phones. Phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Tim is up next.
Hello?
Yes, Tim, you're on.
Hey, Derek. Always a pleasure, man. Hey, I just wanted to talk about Kevin Byard. I mean, that is my dude. I'm MTSU grad. Y'all need to give MTSU some love for their win yesterday.
Oh,
but,
we will.
I mean, he is such a leader. I just want to ask about his play and his leadership. And that's really all I got.
Yeah, thank you for your call, Tim.
Well,
what a
thank you, Tim.
weekend for MTSU football.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll
big
be joined-
win. They go down to Florida and get a big win against Miami.
Uh-huh.
And then Kevin Byard sort of seals the deal with a pick, an interception in the end zone.
Key interception in the end zone in his
Exactly.
100th career game.
Absolutely.
But, I mean, you talk about what the Titans need is like that spark plug, that energy, that person that can make a play and it completely shifts the energy on the sideline, or that one player who can get everyone rallied around. That's Kevin Byard.
Yes.
Or that's the closest thing the Titans have to that is Kevin Byard. Because when he makes plays like that, when he gets that interception, whenever that ball gets tipped up and he's able to snag that failed 2-point conversion, that gets the entire team re-energized. And that's the role that he played yesterday.
Well, if the Raiders score right there, that game is over with for the Titans.
Yeah.
But they didn't, and then subsequently on that play, Kevin Byard gets an interception. Now it energizes everybody. It energizes the defense for when they come back on the field, and hopefully it energizes the offense when they come on the field. So they're going to continue to need plays like that from guys like Kevin Byard or Jeffrey Simmons or Amani Hooker on defense. And then, on the flip side, offensively, they're going to continue to need plays like Dontrell Hilliard making big plays. Robert Woods, if it's going to be 1 or 2 catches, let them be big catches that affect the game, not 5 or 6 yard catches that at the end of the day really don't matter. It's going to take Derrick Henry to continue to play the way he played yesterday, and we know that can only happen if the offensive line. We got to take our hats to the offensive line.
Yeah.
Because they did have some mix-ups there, whether it be in the run or the pass. But for the most part, you're talking about you got a new left tackle, a rookie right tackle, a guy that weighs 270 pounds at the guard position. They played really well against a good defensive line.
Yeah.
They opened up holes for Derrick Henry.
Oh, and that was the key. It was the key yesterday, was opening up those holes for Derrick Henry, because Derrick Henry can overcome a lot. Derrick Henry can be this team's magic eraser. If this team makes mistakes or if this team isn't able to get pressure, Derrick Henry's able to make up for that. But there's only so much that he can. If there are no holes created for him by this offensive line, then he looks how he did against the Giants or against the Bills. And that's to no fault of his own. He just couldn't get things moving whenever those holes aren't there. So I think the offensive line, it was the best half I've seen them play, at least in the first half.
Exactly.
And that's no coincidence that Derrick Henry had his best day yesterday when the offensive line had their best day.
Yeah, and Ryan Tannehill played well in the first half.
Tannehill has played fine.
He hasn't
all
been.
season.
Yeah, he hasn't been. And I know that the interception he had, that was a bad
interception.
Yeah, bad interception. There was a miscommunication between you and Robert Woods. You shouldn't have thrown anyway because it wouldn't have been open.
Right.
The open guy was to the backside that you should have saw, but you had predetermined that you were already going to throw it to Robert Woods. That's why in this offense, you can't predetermine who you're going to throw it to.
Right.
Because a lot of times the guy on the backside or the second or third guy is the guy that's open. But even with all of that, the Giants game, the Bill game, and this game, you cannot blame Ryan Tannehill.
No.
For how the offense looked. He hasn't played great, but he's played well enough to win games.
Mm-hmm.
But you haven't won but one game, but it hadn't been his fault. You know, the 2 losses that you had, that's not up to Ryan.
No.
That's not Ryan's fault. He's played well enough for you to win in those 2 losses. You got to figure out now, how do we as a team, now that Ryan's playing well, he's doing the things that we're asking him to do, how do we now pick up the slack and do our job? Because before it was, we're doing our job and Ryan is throwing ill-advised interceptions. Well, now Ryan's doing his job. Y'all got to do your job.
And I think the 3-game sample size that we have so far this season is where I really understand Vrabel saying we need to be great around Tannehill. Because when I first heard that, I thought it was a knock on Tannehill because, okay, if you have to be great around your quarterback, then you're saying that your quarterback stinks. But that's not necessarily the case. I think what I've seen these past 3 games is that Ryan Tannehill can play his game. He can play it safe and effectively. He can move the ball downfield safely, and he can move the ball downfield effectively. It's not going to be a sexy offense. It's going to be a dink and dunk and a gain of 3 yards here and a handoff to Derrick Henry on 3 consecutive downs, and it's going to be a gain of 3, 5, and then 11, and you pick up the first down. That's the game that the Titans need Tannehill to play. Now, the being great around him element that clicked with me so far this season, that I understand what Vrabel was saying at the end of last season, is he can do his job and he can't do any more. You don't want him to do more than what you ask of him. Of a 280-yard performance, 2 touchdowns, that's kind of his game. It's not going to be 400 yards. You're not going to see a 6-touchdown Tua Tagovailoa last week kind of game from Ryan Tannehill, and you don't want it to be that. But Ryan Tannehill can get you so far. The rest of the team has to push them over the edge. The rest of the team has to play clean football. The rest of the offense has to move the ball downfield. The defense has to get pressure. That's being great around Tannehill.
Exactly. He is a guy. He's not there's guys in the NFL at the quarterback position that, like Ryan, can do their job and just hope that everybody else does their job and they're great.
Kirk Cousins, Matt Ryan.
Absolutely. You can name them.
Yep.
There's a
the
handful
poster
of
children
absolutely.
For average quarterbacks.
They're the guys that you can't move on from, but you like, man, like if we just had a
Patrick Mahomes or a Josh Allen, these playmaking quarterbacks.
He's in that boat. And then you have the Patrick Mahomes, you have the Josh Allens, you have the Tom Brady's, quarterbacks like that.
Aaron Rodgers, Joe Burrow. They
make you better.
They can control the game with the ball in their hands.
Exactly. They make the guys around them much better than what they are. And they help their confidence and they build their confidence so that now they can just go out and play, meaning the other guys. Well, the Titans don't have that quarterback.
Yeah.
They have the quarterback, like you said, Caroline, that can do his job. And his job only. He can't make you great. If you're not a good football player, he can't make you into a good football player. You got to do your job.
He can take you so far.
He can only take you so far, and then you got to do your job. So that's what Vrabel meant. Listen, we got a good quarterback. Don't make no mistake about that. But not good enough to make all of y'all better. Y'all got to be great and do y'all job.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. We'll get back into your phones. Plus TD, Teron Davenport will join us coming up next. We'll get his thoughts on the Titans finally getting into the win column in Week 3. Caroline Fenton, Derek Mason. We are live at Barrel House at Bridgestone Arena. I'm just putting those two together. We got a Preds preseason game today. We'll get into TD coming up next. Caroline Fenton, Derek Mason. It's Chase, Willy, and DMase on 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Stuck at work without a radio?
Wait a minute. Disastrous.
I hate that.
It's got to be there.
That's okay. Download the Game Nashville app or go to thegamenashville.com and listen live. We are Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
One of the best things to happen here over the last year is the arrival of QC Kinetics. Willy Donick here. QC Kinetics is helping people in our area get real, lasting relief from their joint pain with the latest in regenerative medicine. No drugs, no downtime, no steroids, no surgery. In fact, QC Kinetics has tripled in size. Now with clinics in Nashville, Clarksville, and Murfreesboro, one near you. So if you have pain in your knees, hips, shoulder, back, whatever joint it is, don't think steroids and surgery are your only options. Regenerative medicine treatments at QC Kinetics use natural biologics, healing agents from your own body. It restores and repairs the damaged joint tissue. Pro athletes have been doing this for years, and now it's available to you and me. So many people here have done this and are raving about how they got their life back without that nagging daily pain. Appointments are available as soon as next week, and the consultation is free. So call QC Kinetics and learn how modern precision medicine can help you deal with the pain caused by arthritis or injury without drugs or surgery. QC Kinetics in Nashville, Clarksville, and Murfreesboro. 615-249-4024 for the consultation. That's 615-249-4024 for QC Kinetics.
Lift it, load it, grade it, grind it, move it, haul it, rig it, dig it, Craneworks, Rentalworks, yeah! The big dog's got it.
Craneworks, the Southeast leader for crane and equipment rental, is looking for the best in the business to fill positions as qualified operators, truck drivers, and mechanics. Craneworks provides superior customer service and a superior work environment. Start lifting Nashville to new heights and apply today at craneworks.com/careers. That's craneworks.com/careers.
At Third and Home, you can watch the Nashville Sounds from the patio and your favorite college or NFL game in September. All the sports in one spot, plus drink and wing specials, burgers, flatbreads, and more. Don't worry, your game will be on one of the 28 TVs, so you don't miss any of the action. Follow Third and Home Bar on social for all the info.
Houston Clinic Orthopedics wants to thank their patients for voting them the #1 orthopedic practice in the Nashville Scene Poll for 3 years in a row. Their physicians specialize in spine, joint replacement, knee, hip, upper extremity, and other orthopedic conditions. At Houston Clinic Orthopedics, they adhere to all CDC guidelines for the patient's and staff safety. To experience world-class orthopedic care and see a list of all physicians, visit their website at tn.houston.com and book your appointment online today.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne.
Robbie and Rex Road, Chase, Willy, and DMase.
Stony Company. Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3.
Terang, it's a high fly ball.
We got pass rushes.
Awesome Game 7.
Checkered flag in the air. The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Now let's see if we can bring them to life, all right?
Bringing you entertainment and informative sports talk during your workday.
Smart, funny, classy, and I like him a lot.
This is Chase, Willy, and DMase with Chase McCabe, Willy Donick,
Mason, touchdown, Tennessee,
and former NFL wide receiver Derek Mason on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game, and on the Game Nashville app.
This is a new level of geek you got going on here.
Chase, Willy, and DMase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, and the Game Nashville app. We are live from the Hillside Medical Game Studios, and you can watch us streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook Live every day. Our video streaming is brought to you by the law offices of Amanda Gentry, Caroline Fenton, Derek Mason hanging out with you, and we are now joined by Teron Davenport. TD in the house, presented by Craneworks and Rentalworks, your source for crane and equipment rental. Visit craneworks.com. TD, I struggle with the Titans game yesterday because the Titans just needed to get in the win column, and they got a win, and they keep their season alive. But the second half, the step back in the second half just makes me a little bit bummed. Your initial takeaways from the Titans win against the Raiders yesterday?
Yeah, well, it was just what you said, like a tale of two halves. They started out the game really well, and they look good from that perspective, but things started to get bad in the second. They got bad in the second half, and they couldn't score. And they only threw the ball, I think it was 10 times, so there were some issues there. Definitely some concern to roll over to next week against the Colts, who just beat the Chiefs.
And Diddy, what's the problem there? Does that fall on Mike Vrabel not getting the team hyped up and ready for the second half? Is that the momentum killers that we saw earlier in the second half with the 2 penalties and the interception? What's the issue there, and why does it seem to be a recurring theme with the Titans?
Yeah, I'm not going to say it has anything to do with getting the team hyped up and ready to go or anything like that, because these guys are professionals. And if they have to be motivated and excited and hyped up to come out and not embarrass themselves in the second half, I think they may be in the wrong field. I think really it just came down to the Raiders were able to string some things together offensively, and they ran the football really well. You know, that's something that they did. They got some big plays in the passing game, and that was the difference, and it's something that they have to fix because, you know, it got a little bit better because they didn't give up a touchdown on that opening drive like they did in the last two games, but they still have to figure out a way to not get outscored as much as they are in the second half.
We'll talk with Teron Davenport, ESPN NFL national reporter covering the Titans. Finish what you were saying. I'm sorry, Teron, if I cut you off.
No, you're good.
Okay, what I want to understand is this. Caleb Farley, the kid saw one snap, and that's when Fulton got a little dinged up. But they chose not to go with the guy that's been there in Caleb Farley, that they drafted in the first round, that they had high hopes for. They chose to go with someone else that they just activated on the roster. Do you see this as a, hey, listen, we're almost done with Caleb Farley, or do you see it another way?
That's really the big question. And a couple of weeks ago, I had asked Mike Vrabel about remembering the patience part of it because this guy hasn't played a lot of cornerback in his career. You know, 3 games in the league, two years at Virginia Tech after converting. That's not a lot, you know, and you look at how much football he's played in the last couple of years, it hasn't been a lot, period. So I think it's way too early to give up on him and abandon him, and I don't think that's what they're doing. I think they're just taking a step back with him. Mike Vrabel said that they have to continue to find guys that could cover. And make no mistake about it, you know, Farley had his struggles, you know, getting beat deep by Eric Kumaro, you know, a guy who doesn't normally get reps, you know, with the Bills. That wasn't good. And it's something that he has to continue to work on. So I don't think they gave up on him, but, I mean, they better not have given the performance that Terrence Mitchell had in this past game yesterday.
Yeah, even with that, you know, Terrence Mitchell comes in and he's just thrown in with the Wolves. And it's like, hey, listen, we understand that you hadn't been in this defense for a very long time, but it's almost like we trust you more than we trust Caleb Farley. So we're going to throw you out there knowing that you don't know the defense the way Caleb Farley does. That's why, to me, that was almost – it was one of those stamps of, hey, listen, we're done. You know, if we're going to sit you on the bench in place of another guy that just got activated, don't know the defense as well as you do, to me as a former player, that means your time is running very thin.
Yeah, I would think the time is running very thin, but it's just, I mean, think about it. How can you give up on a guy that quick? You know, it turned so fast for him. This was someone that, hey, he won an award for, you know, the off season, and he was getting so much praise. And then now he's not even in the rotation. And I just think, you know, when you look at that, you can't just give up on the guy that quickly, especially given how much capital. You know, he was an early draft pick. He was injured, but it does seem like his string is running short. I think there's still time to try to turn that thing around with him.
TD, Teron Davenport is with us. Taylor Lewan out for the season, but in my opinion, I think the offensive line had their best day of the season so far. So no Taylor Lewan, but is this kind of the light at the end of the tunnel? Are we seeing a little bit of hope for this offensive line? Because they blocked the best I've seen them block, and then Derrick Henry has his best game of the season. And I don't think that's a coincidence.
Did we lose
got CD?
No, that's a good point. That's a good point because when you look at Nicholas Petit-Farrar, I think he had an excellent game. And I went back and watched it, you know, just as the game was going on in person. It seemed like you know, he was playing well. But I wanted to just go back and watch it just to get a better conclusion. And for the most part, when asked to, he handled Max Crosby very well. You know, there were a couple mistakes, but for the most part, he did a good job. So I think, you know, that's a positive right there. Dennis Daly played solid as well. So when you look at that offensive line, Derrick Henry, he was still hit, you know, at or behind the line of scrimmage frequently, but it wasn't as much as it had been in the previous two games. And one other thing with Henry, he had 65 yards after contact, which is 6 yards short of the 71 he had in the first two games.
Now, explain to us how important Dontrell Hilliard is, because I think had he not been able to play, it would have looked like a different offense to me. But because he was able to play, and he's made plays in the first game, he made the big play. Second game, he made some plays. This game, he had the big third down play. I think it was second and 14 or third and 14. He ended up getting all of it and some. But just explain how important Dontrell Hilliard is to this offense.
Yeah, he's very important to the offense because, you know, he's the guy that when you look at matchups, that's a favorable matchup for the Titans consistently, getting him on linebackers. And that's what they did in the first game. You know, they got him on linebackers, and he beat them. And if you look at it, you know, they have 4 plays of 30 yards or more. He has 3 of them. So that lets you know right there the value that he brings. So without a doubt. And that play that you were referencing, you know, he caught that out of the backfield, put a cut on I think it was Jonathan Abram, and he got upfield and he got those extra yards. So he's really important. He's a guy that Ryan Tannehill trusts. He runs routes like a receiver. So there's a lot of value there for him in the passing game.
Tron Davenport is with us. TD, I look at some of the issues that the Raiders had yesterday. You know, continued drops from several of their receivers, Darren Waller being, you know, the most notable one. You know, some issues in the red zone. They were in the red zone 6 or 7 times and were only able to capitalize twice. So my question to you, TD, is did the Titans win this game or did the Raiders lose it?
No, by all means, the Titans won the game. I don't think that that's something that, you know, is a question. Obviously, there were some drops, right? You had the ball bounce off of Darren Waller's hands, but you know, I think that drop had a lot to do with what happened earlier when Amani Hooker got it. You know, Amani Hooker had a solid hit on him, and it's kind of like he heard footsteps later in the drive, and I think that's why that drop happened. So I don't think it was a matter of the Raiders losing the game. The Titans won it, and, you know, that's pretty much what it is.
Yeah, you're right about that, TD. You know, in regards to the Waller missed pass and the interception, I think he was looking more so at that safety than he was at concentrating on the ball, and it stems back to you know, the big hit he took and personal foul he took, you know, in the middle of the field. Great catch by him in the middle of the field, but he paid for it. So you get in the red zone now, same situation. Now you're thinking more so about not taking a hit rather than catching the football. But I understand what Caroline is saying too, because had Oakland, excuse me, had the Raiders not had those miscues, then they would have put themselves in a position to win that football game, regardless of how the Titans were playing. Because that second half looked like a very slow Tennessee Titan team, and it seemed like the Raiders had more of the momentum, and it took plays like Waller not paying attention to the ball, thinking more so about the hit, and miscues by Derek Carr, and the ineptness of the head coach and McDaniels to get his team going. And that's one thing I said to Caroline. I said, listen, these two teams to me are mirror images of one another. They got some good players on both sides of the ball, but for the most part, their rosters are not a roster that can win a Super Bowl. But the difference is the Titans got a really good head coach. The Las Vegas Raiders, their coach is not good.
Yeah, he's still young in the process. But I think you could flip it just the opposite way for the Titans and say, hey, you know, if a couple things go differently in the second half, it might be a different ball game. I mean, you look at Traylon Burks, right? He jumped to make that catch that was a little bit behind them on fourth down. They convert that. Who knows what happens, So I think it could go both ways. But as far as the coaching is concerned, there is a clear difference there. Mike Vrabel is one of the best head coaches in the league. So that gives them an advantage.
Did you speak with Burks after the game? I know you did briefly. Did he explain to you why he felt he needed to jump on that ball?
No, I wanted to ask him about that. What I talked to him about was that the play action dang route that he caught, and it wasn't even play action. I was talking, it was the 14-yarder that he caught down to the 1-yard line instead of the touchdown. I was telling him, good job working his man at the line, and I was joking with him about the push-off. He got away with one.
TD, last one for you. Kind of looking at the rest of the AFC. I mean, you see the Colts get a win over the Chiefs, the Jags with a commanding win over the Chargers, the Dolphins beating what seemed like an unbeatable Bills team. How have your thoughts changed, if at all, about the division in the AFC as a whole after this past weekend?
I mean, I still think the AFC South is a division that, is wide open. No one is really out of the race just because of what they have right now. It's a group of teams that are either underachieving or still have a lot to improve upon. So overall, the AFC West, in my opinion, is still, even though there were 2 wins by the South over the West, I still think the AFC West is the division to beat. And that's the best division in the AFC. But one thing we did see, especially with the Bills, not having both of their safeties, it isn't as top-heavy as you may think, right? The Bills aren't beatable, even though they look like they couldn't be beat when the Titans played.
TD, we appreciate you. I'll chat with you on Thursday.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, thanks, TD. Teron Davenport, presented by Craneworks and RentalWorks, your source for crane and equipment rental. Visit craneworks.com. And there was something that TD mentioned there about Caleb Farley. And I want to get into exactly what is the biggest problem that we saw from Caleb Farley in the secondary as a whole in the game yesterday against the Raiders. We'll get into that coming up next, plus your thoughts, 615-737-1025. But it is a Preds Game Day. Preds Game Day brought to you by Social Furniture. Shop today to get rewarded with Social Cash Back. Buy a $1,000 gift card and get $125 cash back on that Social Furniture gift card. Shop local, shop social in West Nashville.
Let's put the green flag in the air and turn them loose.
Nashville's home for NASCAR.
He's going to try to make a big move here.
Is brought to you by the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. We are your racing station.
ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And the Game Nashville app.
Winning this award is truly like winning the Super Bowl of car dealer awards for Mercedes-Benz.
Edwin Vickery, General Manager of Mercedes-Benz of Music City.
Culture eats strategy for lunch. You have to hit on all cylinders to win this award. You can strategize all you want. You got to still have the right tools, and our tools are our people.
Live the dream with 3-time Mercedes-Benz Best of the Best award winner, Mercedes-Benz of Music City. Go to mbofmc.com.
Attention sports fans, your favorite sportbook, BetUS.com, is back for their 28th year of NFL action with the industry's biggest sign-up bonus of up to 200%. BetUS offer their members the opportunity to cash in on all your favorite leagues, including the NFL, NBA, MLB, and more. They've also got hundreds of new casino games, including the coolest European slots, and their dealers are waiting for you at the table. You need a sportbook with integrity and longevity. You need to know that you will get paid. You need a sportbook that offer everything, including live betting, MMA, golf, horse racing, esports, and all kinds of crazy bets. Call today at 1-800-79-BET-US. That's 1-800-79-BET-US, and they will walk you through setting up an account. Nobody in the industry gets better bonuses than BetUS. Join now, mention 1025, and you can get up to 200% in bonuses on your first deposit. Nobody beats that. Head to BetUS.com and join today. That's BetUS, where the games begin.
Harman Energy is now hiring drivers for their Nashville team. Harman Energy is Tennessee's petroleum solution for major industries. Right now, they're offering competitive compensation. Fuel tank wagon drivers start at $26 an hour. Fuel transport drivers, $29 an hour. Plus, there's a $4,000 sign-on bonus for CDL drivers. top quality benefits and a great place to work, Harman Energy employees provide totally outrageous customer service. Come be an employee owner with the Harman team. Apply now at HarmanEnergy.com.
Hey, it's Jared from my friends at Hiller. It's grilling and chilling season, and Hiller is celebrating all month with special deals for customers, like a free Yeti Tundra cooler with the purchase of a new tankless water heater, a free Traeger wood Bella Grill with the purchase of a new whole home generator, and a free Yeti Tundra cooler with the purchase of a full home septic system. Also, for your HVAC system, get 0% interest financing for up to 48 months on select new HVAC systems. Hiller's work is backed by the Happy OB or services free guarantee. That's Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Call the Happy Face Truck today.
I love this show. Never miss a moment of the show. Okay, all right, okay. Subscribe to the Chase, Willy, and DMase podcast on iTunes, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts. This is Chase, Willy, and DMase on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
What did you see from Terrence Mitchell during the week that convinced you could rely on him as much as you did?
Well, I think that's just the approach that we took last week and prepared him, and we'll have to see what it looks like this week. Every week is a different week, and we've got to find some guys that can go out there and cover and challenge and compete, and we'll keep searching, and we got some guys there that we'll give another look to this week.
There you go. That was Mike Vrabel after the game yesterday, talking about Terrence Mitchell, who has been, it feels like, public enemy number one in Nashville. And I just want to set a couple of things straight, because look, the criticism for Terrence Mitchell is fair. I mean, he gave up that 60-yard bomb.
Yeah, on 4th and 14.
When I thought, look, how on God's green earth are they ever going to convert this? Then, of course, Derek Carr hits him for a long bomb and then, again, gives up a touchdown where it was, I didn't understand what he was seeing, because in the end zone, he had his guy, he saw the ball coming, he was very much so in his place, still gave up the touchdown.
That's big body over little body.
Yep, that's
just, what it is.
You just got beat.
Exactly.
And there was really nothing you could do about it.
Basketball on grass, that's all that was.
Exactly. But I understand Titans fans' frustrations, but my question is, what did you expect?
Yeah.
They got him off the street 3 days ago, on Wednesday. So he is signed on Wednesday, has to learn and understand the game plan, learn and understand the defense. And people are saying, the Titans need to go out and find better. The Titans need to go out and find, someone better to fill in that spot. Well, who? He was the something better.
Yeah.
He was the option that you could just pull up off of someone's practice squad and at least have a body there. So I understand why Titans fans are frustrated with how he played yesterday, because he wasn't getting stops. But my question is, one, what did you expect? And two, can we focus on the bigger problem here?
Yeah, I wish they would, because it's not about
Terrence Mitchell or
was it Mitchell or Matthews?
Is it
Terrence Matthews, I believe, but it could be Mitchell too. It's an M.
Terrence.
Yeah, but the problem's not him.
He's not the problem.
Everyone should be asking, what's wrong with Caleb Farley?
That's the thing.
Why wasn't he elevated to be the starter? Why did you feel after one game of Caleb Farley having significant snaps that you chose to say, you know what, we're going to bring in another guy, Terrence Matthews. We're going to bring him in. We're going to learn, get him up to speed on the defense in the next, 4 days or 3 days, whatever it is. And then we're going to throw him out there as a starter against a team that loves to throw the ball. The problem is, well, if that is indeed the case, if you feel you need to do all of that, and I understand, but you need to start explaining why Caleb Farley isn't ready. I get it. He hadn't played defensive back for a long time. I get it that he was injured. But those are just excuses now. Those are excuses. Why is this guy not good enough to play? Because it seems like even after hearing Vrabel's press conference, they're still looking for someone.
Oh, he made it very clear.
It's not like, hey, listen, Terrence didn't have a good game. He was new to the system. We're going to go back to him. Or, you know what, we feel good about Caleb. I know he didn't get a lot of snaps this game, but we're going to go to Caleb and see how. None of that happened.
He said, we're going to continue to look and find the right piece for that spot. So, one, they're ready to move on, and two, they're not ready to move on to their first-round draft pick from last year.
And that should be the big question amongst
That's the
Titan
problem.
supporters.
It's not Terrence Mitchell.
No.
He's not the problem. The problem is Caleb Farley.
And what do you expect if there was someone that had gotten cut by another team that was just waiting on an opportunity, that was a top-flight cornerback, then yes, you would have him. But that's not the case. Top-flight cornerback.
But he also would not be available if he was a top-flight corner.
That's what I was about to say. If he's a top-flight cornerback, he's not just sitting on the streets.
No.
He's on somebody's roster.
You are not going to find Tre'Davious White on the streets.
Yeah.
You're not. You just
Patrick
have to find a
Surtain
body.
the second ain't going. He's not on the street. Okay, he's on somebody's roster starting. So you have to, as a head coach and a defensive coordinator, you have to put this young man, or he needs to gain enough confidence that he can go out there and you put him in a package, whether it be all zone coverage, no man to man, or you just play the guy off. That you put him out there and say, hey, listen, this is what I want you to do. We can go back to old school. You are a boundary corner. You're playing cover 2 the whole game. I don't care what happens. You are in cover 2, and that safety's going to help you over the top.
Right.
You got to do something you got to put him in a position as a cornerback to succeed, to gain some confidence. Let the young man gain confidence. You can't put him in a position where he's going up against somebody's number one corner, or he's on an island by himself, man to man, or it's 3rd and 5, and you know that they're coming to your side. Well, you got to set up a defense to protect him. You didn't protect him last game, and you saw what happened, and his confidence got shot. Then you don't play him in this game. How do you think he feels now?
Awful.
Exactly.
Awful.
He feels like, oh my God.
I would have no confidence.
Exactly. So now it's almost like you can't go back to him now because he got burnt two games ago. You benched him this past game. What now?
And the only reason why he went in that game was because Christian Fulton got banged up.
He didn't even go in at the 3rd cornerback.
No. And even when Terrence Mitchell was making those, Terrence, when he was when he had all of those misses, when he was continuing to get burned, the Titans didn't make any adjustments. They kept him in the game. They said that's our best option.
That is, Vrabel and that defensive staff have spoken loud.
They had
about
every
Caleb
opportunity
Farley.
to turn to Caleb Farley.
And I know everyone wants to, sort of, and I know TD wanted to sort of massage the issue, and I get it. I understand it. You don't want to continue to pile up on a guy when his confidence seemed to be low anyway. I get why TD said what he said, and that's cool. I understand. Yeah. If I was in TD's position, or if I was on, the team with Caleb Farley, I would be doing the same thing if somebody asked me that question.
Right.
But just being a realist and looking at how he's played, how he's contributed to this team, to me, and I said this last week, only to me, he's not a cornerback. He's not a number one cornerback. He's not a second-string cornerback. You need to move him to safety. He's just not. Playing corner in college, after you've converted, it's a little bit easier to do. You can't then come to the NFL and expect, after a year of playing corner or 2 years and being hurt and everything else, you can't expect then to come in and be, a top-flight cornerback. Very few do that, if at all. And the Titans should have known that.
And that's the thing.
Exactly. Yeah. Again, only reason I'm going at them about this because they drafted him in the 1st round.
Yeah. And when you are a 1st-round pick, you have those expectations.
Exactly.
And he's been here, a year and a half now?
Uh-huh.
It's time.
Yeah.
You have to start making calls about your 1st-round picks. And I understand John Robinson wanted to try and find a diamond in the rough. And if Caleb Farley, if that pick would have hit, he would have looked like a genius. A player coming off of back surgery, and he comes in and he's a top corner in the league. He would have looked like a genius. With the combination of he was a wide receiver, converted corner, he didn't play football his last year at Virginia Tech, gets injured again in his first game back, second game back, one of the first games back after injury last year. It just seems like there hasn't been any development for Caleb Farley, and he was doomed from the start. Because it wasn't like a Jeffrey Simmons kind of thing where he was injured when he got drafted, but he was a certified pass rusher in college.
Exactly.
You knew that he could come into this league and make a difference. Caleb Farley was not a certified corner in college. He converted into that position. So it's almost like he started a few steps back and he's only fallen more far back. And the Titans have shown us that it's continued to take steps back because they don't want to play him.
So either they luck by happen chance find someone that it's on somebody's practice squad or someone that's been cut and just been waiting. Maybe they find that guy. I doubt it, but maybe they find that guy. Or either they just say, you know what, we're going to throw this kid out there. And like I said, we're going to protect him, and we're going to let him gain some confidence. Because right now, his confidence is shot. Mm-hmm. And it shouldn't be that way considering he has the measurables, all the measurables, to play this position.
He's got the size.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Got the size, the long arms, all of that. But the measurables are not showing up on the field. Mm-hmm. When we need the measurables to show up, they're not. So what do the Tennessee Titans do? Throw them out there and protect them. That's what I say.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. We get to your thoughts on that. Plus, when is it time for Caleb Farley? When is it just time to put the stamp on him, to move on from it? We'll get into that coming up next. Plus your thoughts. Also, you can tune in for Nashville Sounds Baseball tonight at 7:05 p.m. on 94.9 The Fan. The Sounds take on the Memphis Redbirds, AAA affiliate of the St. Louis Cardinals at First Horizon Park for their final homestand. Sounds Baseball on 94.9 The Fan, presented by 312 Pizza Company and Farm Bureau Health Plans.
This is Tanner Janot, and this is Smashville.
And now down the right wing side, Tanner Janot. His shot, he scored! Tanner Janot with a shot!
This is the flagship of the Nashville Predators Radio Network. ESPN 1025, The Game.
Bar Lines in the Omni Nashville Hotel.
Hey Nashville, it's Chef Phillip at Bar Lines at the Omni Hotel. Come try our new hot dog burn ends. Nathan's all beef hot dogs, smoked over pecan wood, tossed in honey sriracha barbecue, topped with a cool crema and crisp spring onions. One of my favorites.
Attending an event downtown? Dine at Bar Lines in the Omni Nashville Hotel.
Hey football fans, Patrick Mahomes here. And I'm here to tell you that with NFL Sunday Ticket only on DirecTV, you can watch your favorite team no matter where you live. Because NFL Sunday Ticket gives you every live out-of-market game every Sunday afternoon. So switch to DirecTV and learn how to get the 2022 NFL Sunday Ticket season included at no extra cost. Call 1-800-DirecTV.
With choice package and above, 24-month agreement required. Call for details.
Football season is here again, and when it comes to procuring my adult beverages for the big games, I saddle up and head to Red Spirits and Wine. Red's titanic selection of beer, wine, distilled spirits, and cigars is second to none. And Red's Cracker Jack crew always delivers a winning combination of service and value. There's no two ways about it. Red is top of the range. Open 7 days a week at Highway 70 South in Bellevue. And check us out at redspirits.com.
Hey, it's Mike from Newton Ford South. The weather's starting to get cooler, and you know what that means. It's time for football. I don't know about you, but I've been waiting all year for this. Did you know that the most overtimes ever played in a football game is 7? That's almost 3 full games. It's crazy. I can't imagine sitting there for that long. Here at Newton, we know your time is valuable, especially during football season. We have ways to keep you cheering for your team without sitting and waiting. If your car needs some work, you can schedule online anytime. You can drop your car off at your convenience, and we'll update you when it's ready. On top of that, if you're shopping for a new car, we have Newton Fast Pass. It's the fast and easy way to shop from home. You can walk through the entire process from your couch. We can even deliver the car to your home. So no more missing games. Watch them all. Visit NewtonFordSouth.com to start shopping or schedule your service today.
Your home for Hit City is 94.9 The Fan.
Your division champion Nashville Sounds are back at First Horizon Park for a 3-game set against the Memphis Redbirds. Swing and a miss, strike 3, Sounds win. Coverage begins at 6:50.
On your home for Sounds Baseball, 94.9 The Fan and The Fan app.
Hey, it's ESPN NFL analyst Tim Hasselbeck on Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 1025 The Game.
Chase, Willy, and DMase. 1025-1063 The Game. Caroline Fenton, DMase hanging out with you. So I think one of the most glaring things, issues yesterday with the Titans was the fact was not who was on the field, but was who was off the field.
Yes.
And that was Caleb Farley. The fact that Terrence Mitchell, a guy that the Titans picked up off of the streets, off of a practice squad, deemed more fit to start over the Titans' former first-round pick. The fact that Trey Avery, an undrafted free agent, was deemed more fit to start at corner and to cover Stephon Diggs over Caleb Farley against the Buffalo Bills. It continues, the Titans continue to prove or to show us that Caleb Farley isn't ready to play this position. The Titans have proven to us that, hey, just this some guy that nobody else in the league wanted, that 31 other teams passed on and has been sitting on a practice squad for the past 3 weeks. We're going to go with him over our 2021 first-round draft pick. And that's a problem. So my question for you, DMase, for the texters, the callers, the listeners, when is it time to move on from Caleb Farley, to not expect anything from Caleb Farley? When is it time for us to just kind of take a step back and say, look, Caleb Farley is what he is, and he's not a starting cornerback on this team or in this league?
Well, unfortunately, because of the situation they're in, they can't. They can't move on from him. They can't just put him on the side or on the shelf, especially when you, when you bring in a guy in Terrence Mitchell that you think will do a better job than Caleb Farley, and then comes out and he doesn't play well. Now, listen, he might play well next game, and I expect him if indeed Shane Boyne and Vrabel throws him back out there as a starter, I do expect him to play better the second game than he did the first. Because
and that is on the coaching staff.
Exactly. Now
coach
he
him
knows
up.
more of the defense. You coach him up. He sees the things that he did wrong within the defense, and he can kind of sort of correct them. But then it goes back to, again, if indeed that's the case and you do that, where does Caleb Farley fit in the whole scheme of things? Will he play? Will he be active? Will he not? Again, my thing is, it's just like Dylan Radins. Because we're so thin at that position, we got to keep you activated, and we got to keep you on the roster.
But
If our roster was
you.
if our roster was better, you may not be on it, or you would be inactive. But because our roster is so thin at those two positions, cornerback and offensive line, we can't afford to deactivate you. We can't afford to put you on a practice squad. Why? Because if somebody goes down in the game, now we're
You
stuck
go
with
in.
nobody.
That's exactly why
And you
Caleb
have
Farley
to go
went in.
Exactly. You only go in when there's an injury. Fans, we understand Titans won yesterday, and that is great because they lost this game.
They needed to win that game.
Oh, my goodness.
This would have been a Titans funeral all day today if they would have lost that game
Absolutely.
yesterday.
So
I understand the value of a win yesterday.
Exactly.
Just
So we talked about
survive
the win,
and advance.
and we talked about how great Ryan Tannehill played in the first half. We talked about the offense, how efficient they were in that first half.
Yeah.
But now we're on the part that is a true concern moving forward, is the depth at offensive line, which it seemed like yesterday they started to slowly started to fix that a little. It seems like that offensive line did a much better job. I think they simplified it. I think they simplified their blocking scheme for the new offensive lineman. It wasn't this, sort of, intricate blocking scheme that it would have been had Taylor been there or someone else been there. No, we're going to scale this thing down, give our offensive line an opportunity to get a hat on a hat, and then let Derrick Henry sort of do his thing after that. So based on this game, I think the offensive line is getting better. I'm not saying they are the best offensive line in the world, but they're much better than they were 2 games ago.
It's encouraging, at least.
Absolutely.
And we'll reevaluate once they go to Indianapolis.
Absolutely.
But at least you have enough tangible to say, okay, improvement.
Exactly. But the cornerback position, that position has not gotten better.
No.
And one reason it hadn't gotten better is because of injury and because the guys that they drafted or brought in to do those jobs haven't been able to do it.
And that's the thing with the 2021 draft class as you mention it, the secondary and the offensive line are the two thinnest positions that the Titans have. Well, those are two positions that they addressed in the first and second rounds of the NFL draft last year. So as thin as those positions are, your draft picks still aren't getting on the field. The only reason why Caleb Farley was on the field was because Christian Fulton got banged up. Dylan Radins hasn't smelled the field, and I don't think that he probably will.
He didn't even have his helmet in his hand yesterday.
He didn't need it.
On a sideline, hoping to go in.
Again, they had a tackle get hurt, and they went with the guy that they got off the street in Dennis Daly over Dylan Radins. I mean, that's a very bold statement without saying anything. That's a very bold statement that, hey, this guy's just not very good.
Well, I think moving forward, these are the things that, John Robinson is going to continue to look for individuals that may be on practice squads or that may have gotten cut, that is still in good enough shape, that's still in sort of football mode that he can bring to upgrade this roster. I remember we had him on during the summer, and his thing was, listen, I'm always looking to upgrade our roster, no matter what, whether it's in season or out of season. Well, his job is tough this in season because the two positions they need desperately, offensive line and in the secondary, there are not many people out there that you can get and bring in.
And that's when the bad drafts start to catch up to you. It's not necessarily an effect that's felt immediately, but it is down the line whenever you absolutely positively need a tackle. The tackle that you drafted can't see the field. When you absolutely positively need some depth in the secondary and you're too nervous to play that first-round corner that you played for whatever reason, whether it's an injury issue, whether you think that he's just a liability on defense, if you think he's not ready, if you think the confidence isn't there, whatever the issue is. When the players that you drafted to fill in those spots can't play in those spots, that's when you start to feel the effect. It's almost like a not retroactive, whatever the opposite of that is. that kind of effect, the future effect, yeah.
But that's why I take my hat off to Mike Vrabel because this game could have went either one or two ways. The Titans could have walked into Nissan Stadium and just because of their injuries, because of the lack of depth, they could have just went to Nissan Stadium and folded their tent, and Oakland probably would have ran through them, scored 30 points. But because Mike Vrabel is coaching his team, I don't think you will ever see that from his team. I think you will see his team continually to battle. Now, we may question some things within the game or after half, but we know that, games like this is sort of tailor-made for Mike Vrabel's coaching style. He will get the most that he possibly can get in a one-game situation out of individuals that he need to get out of.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. But coming up next, there's a big-time win over in Murfreesboro. Rick Stocksell will join us coming up next, talking about Middle Tennessee's win over Miami over the weekend. We'll get into that coming up next. Plus, your phones. Caroline Fenton, DMase. It's Chase Willy and DMase on 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
The Sports Talk doesn't end on Friday. Join Michelle Knezovic every Saturday morning at 9.
I've got my extra large coffee.
As she talks about the big stories of the week.
Predators news, the Tennessee Titans.
And looks ahead to the weekend.
Oh, I'm so excited.
On Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey everybody, Willy Donick here. I've got Smashville duties tonight. Predators and Panthers in the preseason contest. I've got game 2 after Pete Weber has game 1. Looking forward to that. In the meantime, let me tell you about my friends at Loan Pronto. If you're getting hit hard with the higher costs this summer and the higher interest rates that have been piling up, if you've got those credit card bills or other bills that have high interest rates piling up, I want you to listen right now. It's time to call Loan Pronto because your home equity can really bail you out right now. It can put you in a much better situation. Your home's value is way up. There's a ton of cash you can get right now, and Loan Pronto specializes in the zero-cost cash-out home refis. You can get tens of thousands of dollars in as little as 2 weeks. So pay off all those credit cards, consolidate everything into one super low payment, and people who do this find themselves around $800 in savings each month in their monthly budget. If that sounds good to you, you need to call Loan Pronto. And even if your home mortgage rate goes up a little bit, it's offset by the fact that those bills are paid. The credit card rate goes to 0. And when the rates come back down, Loan Pronto will refinance you again for free. That's the key. So don't wait. Call Loan Pronto right now. 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. That's 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
Majestic in its scope, dazzling in its sound, there is nothing to match the experience of hearing, live in concert, The Planets. Experience the ultimate trip through the galaxy. Hear The Planets as Giancarlo Guerrero and the Nashville Symphony perform Gustav Holst's sonic celestial showpiece. Also, Tchaikovsky's virtuosic violin concerto with Augustine Hadelich. Tickets begin at $29. Call 615-687-6400 or order at NashvilleSymphony.org. This Thursday through Sunday at Schermerhorn Symphony Center. The Planets with the Nashville Symphony.
Football is back, and so are the deals at Electronic Express. Get tailgate ready with great deals on all of your favorite brands like Whirlpool, HP, Sony, iRobot, and more. Electronic Express has huge savings in every department: computers, appliances, 4K TVs, smart home, furniture, mattresses, and more. Save up to 40% with up to 36 months free financing. Shop in-store or online at electronicexpress.com and get free express delivery on most items. Electronic Express. We make football season happen.
Get your game on at Social Furniture. Entertain in style and make your social experience more comfortable with new furniture. Everyone loves to socialize. That's why you need new furniture. Save big. Professional same-day delivery and installation. Finance interest-free. Get rewarded with social cash back. Buy $1,000, get $125 cash back. Buy $3,000, get $450 cash back on your Social Furniture gift card to spend on accessories, new TV, sports events, or anything you like. Huge selection in stock. Shop local. Shop social.
Hey everybody, Big Joe here for Apple Collision Centers. And you know I'm always on the go, but the distraction that an automobile accident causes could even slow my pace down to a stop. But my friend and CEO of Apple Collision Centers, Stan Harrison, has a plan to get you and I back on the road and fast.
We at Apple Collision Centers know you deserve the best quality service. We always recommend original equipment parts, and we use only the best Sherwin-Williams finishes. 3 convenient locations: Hendersonville, Gallatin, and Old Hickory. And you can always visit us online for your estimate needs at applecollisioncenters.com.
College football season is here finally. It's me, Caroline Fenton, and you already know that I am pumped up for college football season. And Southeastern Carolines, you know that 312 Pizza Company is my favorite place in town. 312 Pizza Company is a family-owned restaurant located in the heart of Germantown, serving up authentic Chicago-style eats right here in Music City. You can catch every down of the college football season at 312 Pizza Company. From week 1 of the national championship, 312 Pizza Company is your home for college football season.
When joint pains cause you to sit out on everyday activities, it's time to make an appointment with Dr. Matthew Beal at Houston Clinic Orthopedics. Dr. Beal can diagnose your problem and treat the joint pain for both surgical and non-surgical matters. Board certified and fellowship trained, Dr. Beal specializes in hip, knee, joint replacement, and adult joint reconstruction. Visit tn.houston.com to learn more about Dr. Beal and to book an appointment online. Houston Clinic Orthopedics, when experience matters.
Jared Stillman.
This is a team that the entire city is losing their minds over.
Caroline Fenton.
It's one of the youngest teams in the league. They don't have a single player over the age of 30.
Stillman and Company. Afternoons from 2 to 6.
Presented by TriStar Moving.
On Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
I'm ready to step this up a notch.
You're listening to Chase, Willy, and DMase on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Let's see, take a shot here. Cunningham looks. Play fake. Down the left side. He's got Chisholm out there. Caught! He's gone! He is gone! He is gone! 99 yards! Touchdown, Middle Tennessee! DJ Ivy. How about that? Ivy was the man who was beat, and Chisholm turned on the Jets
And it's a 99-yard pass play.
Well, there you have it. Massive win for MTSU at Miami. 45-31, massive upset loss. Joining us now is MTSU head coach Rick Stockstill. Coach Stock, what's the environment like? What was it like in the locker room after the game on Saturday night, and how was that kind of carried over into this week as well?
Well, I mean, the energy, throughout the whole game, on our sideline was really good. And then you can only imagine in the locker room after the game, just the celebration, the joy, how proud you are individually, of how you played, and then as a team, just really, really special. And I tell players all the time, when you graduate, when you're through playing, whether it's in the NFL or in college, you're not going to miss practice. You're not going to miss weights. You're not going to miss the game that much. What you're going to miss is the locker room, the camaraderie that you develop in a locker room. And for those guys to experience a win like that and celebrate in the locker room, it's something they'll be able to hang on to for the rest of their life. So it was special.
Oh, absolutely. That is something that those players will never forget. I mean, talking on the field stuff, it seemed like Miami did not have an answer for whatever you were throwing at them, offensive and defensively. What was the game plan going into Miami?
Well, offensively, we thought we could take some shots on them. We thought we could get by them, and obviously we did. And I told the girl at halftime, for the ACC network, coming out, she was asking. I said, "We're not going to play scared. We're going to go after them and do everything we can to win this game. And they're not going to give it to us. We got to go take it." And that's what we did the second half. We hit the 69 or 71-yard touchdown, and then the 98-yarder coming off the goal line. And we didn't play scared. We went after them, and then defensively, I don't think they've gotten enough credit for how they played. Miami ran for 194 yards, something like that, against Texas A&M the week before. They ran for 68 against us, 38 carries, for a 1.6, yard average. We stopped them twice, goal line stands, once on the 6, once on the 2 there. We created 3 turnovers. So just did a phenomenal job defensively. And we were good in the kicking game except our last 2 kickoffs. They ran one back for a touchdown, and then we sky kicked the other one, and they got that one out to about midfield. So other than those 2 plays, we played really good in the kicking game as well.
We're talking to MTSU's head football coach, Rick Stockstill. They had a huge win versus Miami this past weekend, went down to Hurricane Country and pulled out a victory in good fashion. Coach, you just mentioned your defensive line, how they came in and they just dominated the line of scrimmage. Just go a little bit more into that, because we know that if you're going to beat a team like the Hurricanes, who's ranked 25th at the time, if you're going to beat them, you must first control the line of scrimmage, whether that be offensively or defensively, and it seems like that's what your team did.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And, I said it earlier today or sometime that, when you go into a game like that, your offense and defensive lines have got to play well, because we got to protect our passer, and we did a good job protecting him. And we got to stop the run. And, to me, that's where the toughness, and I said after the game, we were the tougher team. And what I meant by that is when you can stop the run like we did, when you can have goal line stands like we did, when you can protect like we did, and able to throw, the ball down the field like we did, you're tough to overcome the adversity in the second half. I don't know if you guys, watched the game or not, but there were so many calls. We recover a fumble, we get a stop. It went to review, in the review box overturned it. And, so there was a point there where you could say, woe is me, you know, it's not going to happen. But they didn't flinch. Our guys didn't flinch. We kept battling and lined up, you know, and go to the next play. And that's what I told them. Don't look at the scoreboard. Just play your tail off every snap. And at the end of the game, we'll look up and see how it went. But really proud of our team and the toughness that we played with. You know, everybody making a big deal of going down there to South Florida and the heat and everything. Not one time did our trainer have to come out for somebody getting cramps. You know, and that's just a toughness. It's a mental toughness and it's a physical toughness.
Well, that is huge, Coach. You're right, because I'm watching NFL games and I'm watching guys go down because of cramping and down in South Florida. But your guys, they were well hydrated. They were ready to go from a mental aspect as well as from a physical aspect. Now, your team won 3 out of its last 4 games last season. They come in first game of the year. They lose in 44-7 to James Madison. But what was the talk to your team after that? Because since then, they've scored 34 points, 49 and 45.
Well, I think the big thing is, you know, and this sounds like excuses, but it's not. We started 4 new offensive linemen. We had our top 2 receivers out. We dropped 7 balls. 6 of our 7 starters on the back end, all 3 new linebackers, and 3 of the 4 secondary guys were first time they're playing. That's not an excuse. That's a fact. We didn't play well. It's my fault, okay? But, you know, I told him, I said, I believe in you. We're going to get better. You keep working. Ignore the noise. Don't listen to all the stuff on the outside. Don't worry about it. And we'll get better each week. It's a football season, and you know how you play. Football season is a marathon. It's not a sprint. And they're not going to judge a team based on the first game or the second game. It's going to be based, you know, at the end of the year when you played your schedule, and then we'll see how it falls out. But, you know, I just kept believing in them. I told them that. I showed them, and we worked. And, you know, just like this week, ignore the noise. Everybody's patting you on the back. Ignore that noise because that's all it is, and get ready to play another game.
We're talking to MTSU head football coach Rick Stockstill. A big weekend for MTSU, not just beating Miami, but also an MTSU football alum, Kevin Byard. He had his 100th NFL game, and he also had a pretty big interception at the end of it. Just your testament to Kevin Byard and the kind of player that he is and representative for the MTSU football program.
Y'all ain't got enough time for me to talk about KD. One, I love him. Respect him as a man. I respect him as a player for what he's done, what he did here, what he's doing with the Titans. So happy for him. I saw his interception. Happy for him. I love him, and he's a great pro. He was a great player here, and it's going to be a pretty cool thing honoring him Friday night, you know, by retiring his jersey or his number here, and just he's special. I know the Titans respect him. I know the Titans like him and all that, as well as they should. But no, he's everything that you want in a player. He's everything you want in a man.
Well, thanks a lot, Coach. We appreciate you for coming on, especially after this huge victory. And like you said, you know, a lot of people are going to be patting your guys on the back, and rightfully so. But you got a lot of games ahead of you. So, like you said, they need to put that behind them and get focused and prepare for the next one.
You're dead on it, and that's what we're doing, my man.
All right, we appreciate you.
Let's go.
All right, thank you, Coach Stockstill, for joining us. Congratulations on a huge win. On to UTSA.
I appreciate you.
All right, thanks,
Coach. That was MTSU head football coach Rick Stockstill after that huge win on the road at Miami. Now, coming up next, we'll hear from Mike Vrabel. He'll take the podium and recap the Titans' win over the Raiders. We'll get into that coming up next. Caroline Fenton, Derek Mason. It's Chase, Willy, and DMase on 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
You love the game.
Predators win it in overtime. Touchdown, Tennessee.
We live the game.
My quarterback needs me to step up.
He can make a defense pay. We got pass rushers.
Checkered flag in the air.
Awesome game 7.
What a stop made by UC Sarah.
The game. Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And the Game Nashville app.
This is Loyalty Lab Interview 6. Subject, grandmother's loyalty. Margie, what do you do when your grandson misbehaves?
Angels don't misbehave.
Here we study the most loyal, like you and... Oh, there goes the lamp.
Shouldn't have put it there.
Shell and the Fuel Rewards program has our members' backs, too. It's super easy to save on every gallon. Loyal, just like how you acted like that wasn't his fault.
Someone should clean that up before he gets hurt.
Yes, loyal, just like that.
10 years of FR.com. Terms and conditions apply.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Hey, it's Hutton for the Low T Center. Guys, if you've noticed a lack of energy, motivation, and drive, it could be low T. Schedule your complete health assessment at Low T Center. They now offer the convenience of monitored self-injected home testosterone treatments for $155 a month cash pay or covered by most health insurance. If you don't live near a Low T Center or you just need the convenience of at-home treatment, Low T Center makes it easy to get started. Only your first 2 visits are in person. Go to lowtcenter.com now to book online. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
Are you getting hit hard with higher costs and higher interest rates? Is your credit card rate going up every month? Hey, Willie Donick, how'd you like to wipe out those credit cards before the holidays? Call Loan Pronto. Your home equity can rescue you right now. Your home's value is still way up, and there's a ton of cash that you can get. Loan Pronto specializes in zero-cost cash-out home refis. Get tens of thousands in as little as 2 weeks. Pay off credit cards and consolidate everything into one super low payment. People who do this usually cut around $800 from their monthly budget. And even if your home mortgage rate goes up a little bit, it's offset by your credit card rate going to zero. When rates come back down, Loan Pronto will refinance you again for free. Call Loan Pronto. Do it now. You can even skip your next 2 house payments altogether. Call 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. That's 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
We are Cromwell Media, WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne, 97.5 Murfreesboro, 106.3 Williamson County,
ESPN,
102.5 The Game.
102.5, 106.3 The Game. Mike Vrabel is at the podium now.
Trying to get him to continue to understand where he fits in our scheme and where he needs to be in combination with guys. But we did a nice job. Pretty much all the day in protection against some really good guys. And so I think he's only going to continue to get better as well.
As you look back at the tape from the offensive standpoint, very happy with what you saw in the first half, and then second half only had 4 possessions. What are some things you could clean up there to maybe to help moving forward?
Well, making sure we had the turnover, which was unfortunate. I think some of the gains and the runs that we had, in the first half, probably weren't there, for, whether it's one guy here or pressure. But we had some opportunities. Felt like we could have got the screen going again. We had success with that in the first half. Wasn't able to get Nate out, for obvious reasons. If you watch, how they played him, not allowing him to get to the backer, and the conversions. We had some really cool third down conversions in the first half, and weren't able to get it. 3rd and 1. We didn't get many people blocked on that one. And then just making sure that we're better informed minute there at the end. I thought the way that we finished the first half was 3 critical points. When you look at defensively getting the stop, stopping the clock, 20-yard return. Caleb Farley did a nice job of getting to the second level. Robert does what we ask every returner to do, is make the first guy miss. He did a fantastic job with that. 21 yards to midfield, 21 seconds. The 2 timeouts. Nick sitting down, catching a contested pass. Ryan being decisive with it. And then getting the extra yards that we needed, and Randy coming through with a big kick. So those were 3 critical points. I think we all just have to, make a few more plays offensively and defensively and special teams in the second half there. We had opportunities in all 3 phases.
Is Caleb just not taking stuff from the practice field to games, Mike? Is that fair to say? You're seeing certain things from him in practice and then it's not showing up on game day?
Well, I think that there's been some growth there, and we're going to continue to give him opportunities and make sure that he's ready to go and that he's competing each and every week for that opportunity to play. Continue to help us on special teams, and we just all have to get comfortable in doing our jobs and making sure that, we're understanding the call, we're understanding what the concept is, what it is that we're trying to get done, and whether you're playing pass rusher, you're playing a inside linebacker or corner, and just making sure that whatever that call is, that it's getting executed, and that everybody's focused on doing their job.
You say talk about being comfortable. Is it a confidence issue for him?
Well, I can't really speak on anybody's confidence level except for mine. That's not something that I think that's for the player to understand. And we have full confidence in everybody that's here. That throughout the course of the season or even this week, that the guys that are here, whether it's on the practice squad or on the active roster, are going to learn a game plan, prepare as a starter, have to go in there. Whether that's Dylan Cole, like he did defensively, or Josh Kalu, who had to go in there, some snaps, interior defensive linemen, and so that's what we ask everybody to do.
What's your evaluation process like, Mike, for that? So let's say that position specifically during the course of the week that leads you to here's the other guy we're going to go with.
I just wanted to try somebody else, try somebody new, and give somebody else an opportunity, and that may change this week. That's what it was on a short week, and that could be something different for this game plan this week.
What's the stuff that you look for during the week, though, Mike, as you do evaluate?
Just an overall understanding. We don't have that many reps. Wednesday was a walkthrough, but there's certainly things that we would look for is the ability to be able to match up, be able to understand what the zone coverage responsibilities are, the ability to play the correct leverage. And those are all things that we look for.
So is it more of a technique issue from an individual standpoint, or a scheme issue of him not maybe all the time carrying out the assignment correctly?
And just overall, just trying to make sure that everybody's ready to do their job, execute when their number's called, and find ways to help us win.
Where are you in that process, though, as far as, because I know yesterday you said that you're still looking for guys that can cover. Is that something?
We're still looking for guys that can rush and can cover, when they do all those things. We're looking for as many guys as we can find, and we'll evaluate the guys that we have here and try to make the ones that we're rushing here and figure out the ones that can cover. And so, each week is going to be something different.
Five catches yesterday. How nice was it to get him going in that way? And do you think that helped maybe open up the running game, or is that unrelated?
Well, I think it was what they were trying to do is they were trying to get back to try to stop some of the intermediate, play passes that we've had, that we'd like to have success with. And I thought the best thing that Derek was available. He got to those spots quickly, and then Ryan was able to find him. Derek did a nice job of putting the ball away and turning up like we talked about and gaining some valuable yardage.
How big was it for Stonehouse to get off that 70-yard punt to at least put you in position to have them pinned back?
Take as many 70-yard punts as we can get.
Going back to Caleb, what is the balance for you in terms of wanting to have confidence in the guy that's out there to execute, and then also wanting to get a guy like Caleb who hasn't played a ton of football, that development and live game reps, and where does that balance lie for you when you make those personnel decisions?
I think that's just something that we have to look at each and every week, and hopefully that we can have a full week of practice and have a competition and see who is going to be the guy that's going to go out and play for us, and what the rotation may look like. As we work through what personnel they're in and what personnel that we end up playing.
How did Mitchell do, given that he'd only been here 4 days?
I think there was an understanding. They caught some balls on him. Obviously we did the job that we wanted to on Devontae and Darren, but Matt Collins really came up big. So give him a lot of credit. We just gave up too many X plays there defensively in the second half.
Back to Derek, how good is it to get him out in space like that when he's split out like that?
Well, space is probably hard to come by, for Derek. But when it is a zone, and if you look at the screen, it was cool to see him get going. We just got to try to catch it a little cleaner so that the the timing of some of those things are better, but those have to be good plays for us, and still try to find ways to use his skill set along with running the football.
Robert had his best game yesterday. Was that just a function of the game, or do you see, now that he's getting further away from the injury, that maybe he's doing things a little bit more decisively and just playing better football?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we were able to find him. I think they really, some cool stuff there with him and Ryan. Thought he ran a great route down there in the red zone. The over, the play pass was nice. I think he set his angle, and Ryan was able to, throw him a really, really good ball. And the punt return was something that I thought was really, really beneficial and really helped us outside even those catches that he had. That I think was a huge play.
How integral is he to the offense when trying to establish a rhythm like that?
Well, I think everybody is. Everybody is. Everybody has their role on each and every play and how you perform that job. And we understand that the better that receivers play and running backs play without the football in their hand can only help us. Guys that are fighting for extra blocks to try to protect the guy with the football. And I think a great example of that was just, at the end of the game on the onside kick. Hoop goes and gets the kick, but Cody and Jeff Swaim and Torrey Carter are over there trying to protect the guy and coming from a long distance. And, Torrey had a heck of a block to protect Jeff. So those are things that we always are, preaching.
You hated to see Zach Cunningham get hurt. How'd you like his effort on that play to kind of fight through a bunch of guys to keep?
Yeah, a bunch of guys. They had some gadgets there that, they threw. Zach fought through some guys and made a play, and don't really question his effort or anybody else's effort. I think we just have to continue to make that a calling card for us. Make sure that we're executing better and we're executing better together.
How do you feel Rashad Weaver has done, considering elevated snaps and, playing a bigger role in the defense?
He continues to improve. I think that, he gets tired a little bit in there, probably playing too much, but that's a product of not getting off the field and, not many other guys behind him.
Mike, is there a little bit different feel today as you watch film, or even some relief of just getting that first win and doing it in the fashion you did yesterday?
Well, I think we're excited about winning. It's hard to win in this league. It is. And we're never going to take anything away from winning. We just got to continue to improve and fix the things that we feel like are fixable. Again, find out who's available, who we're going to have, and start to build a game plan and a roster to travel to Indianapolis for a huge division game on the road.
And with that division, how much do you put emphasis? It's the first one of the year. It's only week 4. There's a lot of football left. But do you really put an extra emphasis on the fact that it is a division opponent?
Well, I think you have to play well. You have to beat the teams in your division. You got to, steal a couple on the road, which, this is the next opportunity for that. So I don't think that there's any, we understand that, they're a good football team. But we have to go on the road against a good football team that just beat a good football team and, start doing some things better and continue to do the things that looked pretty positive yesterday.
Given how much draft capital you put into that cornerback position, a first-round pick, 2 second-round picks, to be in this state where you're saying we still got to find guys to cover, is there a frustration level to that?
No. This is our football team. This is a football team that we want, and that no frustration. We're just going to make sure that we get guys ready to play, get them to understand what's going on, and I'm confident that they're going to play like hell. Thanks, guys.
All right, there you go. That was about Titans head coach Mike Vrabel at the podium. Coming up next, we'll break down what Mike Vrabel had to say because he was asked a whole lot of questions about Caleb Farley, and he had some interesting things to say about it. So we'll break all of that down. Coming up next, plus your thoughts, 615-737-1025. Caroline Fenton, Derek Mason, it's Chase Willy and DMase on 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Every Wednesday at 2:45.
Sanders for the touchdown, 48 yards.
Former NFL wide receiver Chris Sanders joins Stillman and Company to give his thoughts on all things Titans and NFL. Fueled by Parman Energy, now hiring fuel drivers. Apply now at ParmanEnergy.com on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Paul Feinbaum here for the Southeast leader for cranes and equipment rental, Craneworks. The Craneworks team in Nashville, Birmingham, and Mobile is ready to make your next construction or maintenance project a big success. Give Craneworks a call for your next lift, machinery moving, or rigging project. And don't forget, RentalWorks has a full line of rental equipment for jobs both big and small, and now offering qualified operators for all equipment, including aerial and earth-moving equipment. Call Craneworks at 877-282-LIFT or visit them on the web at craneworks.com.
In 1972, a Nashville family business story began when Bill and Beverly Finley founded Volunteer Hose and Gasket. 3 generations have grown the business into the local industry leader supplying just about anything to anybody, from the largest of contractors to your neighbor that mows his own yard. Over 1 million items in stock: belts, belting accessories, gaskets, gauges, hose fittings, hydraulics, industrial hoses, lubricants, sealing products, tubing, fire protection, and more. All at volunteerhose.net. If Volunteer Hose and Gasket doesn't have it, then you probably don't need it. Call them at 615-242-0461.
Hey football fans, Dak Prescott here, and I'm here to tell you that with NFL Sunday Ticket only on DirecTV, you can watch your favorite team no matter where you live. Because NFL Sunday Ticket gives you every live out-of-market game every Sunday afternoon. So switch to DirecTV and learn how to get the 2022 NFL Sunday Ticket season included at no extra cost. Call 1-800-DirecTV.
With choice package and above, 24-month agreement required. Call for details.
Hey, Willy Donick here with you. Got some Predators action tonight over in Smashville. Looking forward to that, but in the meantime, let me tell you about QC Kinetics. One of the best things to happen over here in the last year is the arrival of QC Kinetics. I've been telling you about this for a long time. QC Kinetics is helping people in Middle Tennessee get real lasting relief from their joint pain. It's the latest in regenerative medicine. No drugs, no downtime, no steroids, and no surgery. It's been ready and available to a lot of big league athletes for a long time. Now it's available to all of us. And it's right here in our listening area, and it's tripled in size. Nashville, Clarksville, and Murfreesboro all have clinics. And you can get a free consultation on how it can help you. So give them a call at 615-249-4024. If you've had that back pain that won't go away, shoulder pain, knee pain, whatever it is, they use that natural biologic technology, healing agents from your own body to restore and repair the damaged tissue. So give them a call. QC Kinetics, 615-249-4024. That's 615-249-4024.
It's on. It's happening. Remember, you can watch us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter.
Get out of the way, I'm watching a game.
Presented by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. This is Chase, Willy, and DMase on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
Is Caleb just not taking stuff from the practice field to games, Mike? Is that fair to say? You're seeing certain things from him in practice and then it's not showing up on game day?
Well, I mean, I think that there's been some growth there, and we're going to continue to give him opportunities and make sure that he's ready to go and that he's competing each and every week for that opportunity to play, continue to help us on special teams, and we just all have to get comfortable in doing our jobs and making sure that we're understanding the call, we're understanding what the concept is, what it is that we're trying to get done, and whether you're playing pass rusher, you're playing a inside linebacker or corner, and just making sure that whatever that call is, that it's getting executed and everybody's focused on doing their job.
There you go. That was Mike Vrabel, who just took the podium, and very strange vibe and strange energy coming from Mike Vrabel after a win. But the overall, my biggest takeaway from this press conference, and I think that what everybody there wanted to get to the bottom of and get answers about, was Caleb Farley.
Yeah, I mean, there were several questions about Caleb Farley. Even when they sort of got away from Caleb Farley, it came back up.
Yeah.
Because people just don't understand why he didn't play but one snap yesterday. And, why hasn't he been, an integral part on that defense thus far? And, people are, no one wants to hear about, well, he He's only played this position for a couple of years. He was hurt. Nobody wants to hear that anymore. The kid's healthy. You said he had a great camp. Now they want to see the fruits of that great camp and him being healthy. And Mike is going to continue to have to answer questions about Caleb Farley as long as he's not on the field. If he gets on the field and he's doing his job, you won't hear anything else about Caleb Farley. But because he's not on the field, because you chose to bring in Mitchell and start him, and then the excuse you gave about Mitchell, well, it was a short week, so we decided to play. That doesn't make sense, It's almost like when you bring in a guy on a short week, you don't want to play him. They brought in Josh Gordon. They still hadn't played him much yet.
Right.
So what is the difference?
They don't have nearly as much invested in Josh Gordon as they do their first-round pick.
Absolutely. So what is the difference from bringing Josh Gordon in and him not playing than bringing Terrence Mitchell in and him playing? Terrence Mitchell was only here 3 days.
Right.
But he was your starter.
But he still thought that he was a better option than Caleb Farley.
And that's what people are trying to figure out. Like, you're giving all these things, but you're not giving us the why. You're telling us everything else, but you're not giving us. And I understand why he is just not going directly to the point. I get it. He can't do that. And he won't do that.
No. And that's not helping anyone. If he does come out and say, hey, yeah, you know what? We just think that he absolutely does stink. Yeah. That's not going to help anybody. But what I want the answer to is his continued, beating of, we have confidence of everyone in this team. We have confidence in Caleb. We have confidence in our team, which, of course, I don't buy. But you're going to continue to tell us that you have confidence but not play Caleb Farley. And we all saw Caleb Farley's woes against the Buffalo Bills.
Exactly.
When Stephon Diggs was in the end zone and he went right and Caleb Farley went left. Complete opposite direction, and Stephon Diggs was just left unprotected in the end zone. And then comes out again and this week, and he's not playing. So where is that confidence coming from?
There's no confidence.
No, no.
You can listen. I understand. Again, it's coach talk, and I understand that he has.
It is going to be a lot of coach speak.
He has to protect his player. He's going to protect his player.
But we're going to be left to interpret.
Exactly. But after the game that Caleb Farley played against Buffalo, and you in this press conference, you alluded to guys got to know the concepts of the defense. Guys got to communicate with the play calls. So what you're telling us is that he doesn't know the defense the way he should have, the way he should. But Terrence Mitchell, who came in 3 days ago, he knows the defense better than Caleb Farley.
Right.
That's essentially what you're telling us, because you said concepts and communication and guys need to be better at that. Well, if that's the case, then why haven't you gotten this guy up to speed to where he can start this week, even after a bad game, But you chose to bring somebody else in to be the starter. I mean, eventually, either you're going to have to, again, throw this guy in there and protect him, or you're just going to have to admit that he's not the guy that we thought he could be at this point in time. He may be a year down the line, but right now, he's just not that guy. So we got to look elsewhere for a corner. We got to find somebody that can cover.
That's fine. As long as there's some sort of succession plan or there's some sort of plan of, hey, this is why we decided to go with Terrence Mitchell over Caleb Farley. Could have been an injury thing. He could have had a nagging injury and he didn't want to push it. If that's the case, that's fine. I understand. Or if it's just, hey, he's just not ready. Or, hey, he's dealing with some confidence issues after that Bills game and we need to just coach him up a little bit. That's fine. But at least some sort of explanation so we're not left to interpret of, do you just think he's bad? Do you just think that he's not ready to start? And I do think there was a good question asked. I believe it was Sam Phelan from A to Z Sports asked about kind of that balance between, is trying to get him reps to build his confidence and so we can get more experience in this defense, get more in-game experience, and also making sure that your team is set up for the most success and making sure that you have all of the best players on the field. I thought that was a good question that Vrabel didn't really give us much of an answer to, but that is a difficult balance of Caleb Farley needs to be on the field. Caleb Farley needs to learn this defense, and Caleb Farley needs to build confidence in-game reps. But if he's not going to give you the best chance to win, then one, that's a problem.
Yeah.
And two, you can't play him. So it's a difficult balance that they're faced with in terms of game day personnel.
Yeah, it is. Because, again, it goes back to they don't have enough depth at that position. You know, Buster Screen, you know, he retires at the beginning of the season. They have an injury at that position, and then Fulton goes down, but Fulton's back, and he's in and out of the lineup because of the hamstring. And I'm sure, you know, he will be fully healthy to go for Indianapolis unless he had some type of setback that we don't know about.
Yeah.
But because you don't have the depth that you need at that position, it's almost like you can't throw him, and it's almost like if we had the depth, then we can, in practice, he can learn.
Right.
He can learn. But because we don't have the depth and we need to win football games, we can't sit back and teach you, you know. We can't sit here and try to coach you up all the time on things that you should know. Well, if that is indeed the case, then this guy that we just brought in, he seems like he knows, at least for this game plan, what to do. We're going to throw him in there. And I'm going to go back to the whole confidence thing. Vrabel said he can't, I'm just paraphrasing here. He said that, well, I can't judge a guy's confidence. That's a lie.
That is such a lie.
That is a huge, I know as a player, if I'm looking at, if a guy's gotten burned or a guy dropped touchdowns or dropped punts, I can watch him through the whole week and know if he's lost his confidence or not. I don't have to ask him, but I can just tell by his demeanor, his approach to the game.
The body language says a lot.
If he's lost his confidence or his confidence is wavering. So when Vrabel says, I can't speak on another man's confidence.
Yes,
you
you
can
That's
as a
your
head
player.
coach. You have confidence enough in them to play them, then you can tell if they got confidence enough to play the position that you want them to play. That's just, I mean, any coach after watching a player for long enough, they can tell you, yeah, his confidence is a little rattled right now. He may not say anything, but I can tell by his body language, I can tell by his demeanor, I can tell by his approach that he's wavering a little bit in his confidence. So I need to do something as a head coach, or we need to do something as a coaching staff to make sure this thing doesn't get out of hand. So when he says that, that's not true.
It's not, no, and Vrabel's not going to tell you the truth.
No, he's not going to sit there and say, yeah, this kid has lost his confidence.
Or this kid is super confident. We just decided to sit him for another reason. Then that opens up a whole nother conversation.
Exactly.
But I just keep going back to, I want to know why. Why was he not in on Sunday? Why did you think that somebody that you got off the practice squad was better than him? Is he just not very good? Does he just not understand this defense after he's been here for a year and a half? Why?
Because the defense hadn't changed much. Shane Bowen is still a
Same
defensive
DC,
coordinator.
yeah.
Exactly. So it's not like, you know, he went from Shane Bowen or somebody else that plays a whole total different defense. So then I can understand, hey,
Right.
look, the kid has to learn.
There's a little bit of switch up in
Exactly.
personnel, but not enough for it to be completely, uprooted.
This is the same defense. They may run some things a little different, but this is the same defense Shane Bowen ran last year. He's running it this year.
Christian Fulton is still on the other side.
Exactly. Absolutely. So I don't know why that after a year and a half that he sort of still can't pick up on concepts, and they're not communicating, or he's not getting the communication that he needs to know what coverage he needs to be in so he won't get beat on the deep route.
Let's go to your phones. Phone line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Mark in Paris texts in and says he was hurt his whole last year of college and whole first year with the Titans. He's been available this year in 3 games. More time is needed, and like Derek said, maybe a position change. I like him. Coach him up.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I think he needs to change positions.
How can you do that?
Yeah, he can. He can change to.
Safety?
He can be a safety.
Safety?
He can change. To me, I just don't think
But is
after
there a-
watching him, he doesn't have the skill set or all the things that he needs to play the cornerback position in this league. College, yes.
Yeah.
In the
If you
NFL
have the
with
size
these
and the
wide
speed in college,
receivers,
yeah.
he can't match up. He just can't. He's a fish out of water right now. What he can do is switch positions and be a safety, and maybe he'll transition to being safety a little bit different because you don't have to read it like a corner reads it. You don't sit there and play a guy man-to-man, one-on-one all the time. You may have to drop to play a slot guy or a tight end, but you're not sitting out there on the island by yourself, having a corner, have to cover, top receivers in the National Football League. I just think he's a guy that has the athletic ability, but he doesn't have all those other things you need to play the cornerback position. He just doesn't have.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. We'll get back into your phones, your thoughts on Caleb Farley. Plus, coming up next, how do we feel about the Titans' defense overall on Sunday, and how do we feel about it moving forward? Because Mike Vrabel talked about some of their plans on defense moving forward. We'll get into that coming up next. Caroline Fenton, Derek Mason, it's Chase, Willy, and DMase, 1025, 1063, The Game.
Every Monday at 6, it's the Eddie George Show live from 6th and Peabody.
When we hit the turf and clock in, we're locked in and we're committed to our craft.
Each week, the former Titan and current TSU head coach will be joined by Outkick 360's Jonathan Hutton.
Props to you and your staff, but also to the kids that have bought into everything you're saying.
And special guests to break down the Tigers' latest game and talk all things football. The Eddie George Show, Mondays at 6 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Attention sports fans, your favorite sport book, BetUS.com, is back for its 28th year of NFL action with the industry's biggest sign-up bonus of up to 200%. Yes, people, 200%. BetUS offered their members the opportunity to cash in on all your favorite leagues, including the NFL, NBA, MLB, and more. There's a Monday Night Football game tonight, people, so you better go to BetUS.com and get your bets in. They've also got hundreds of new casino games, including the coolest European slots, and their live dealers are there waiting for you at the tables. You need a sport book with integrity and longevity, and you need to know that you will be getting paid, okay? That's what you need to know. You need your money. You need a sport book that offers everything, including live betting, MMA, golf, horse racing, esports, and all kinds of crazy bets. Call today at 1-800-79-BET-US. That's 1-800-79-BET-US, and they will walk you through setting up your account. Listen, nobody in the industry gives better bonuses than BetUS. Join now. Mention 1025, which is the best sports talk show in town, and you can get up to 200% in bonuses on your first deposit. Nobody beats that. Head to BetUS.com and join today. That's BetUS, where the games begin.
Harman Energy is now hiring drivers for their Nashville team. Harman Energy is Tennessee's petroleum solution for major industries. Right now, they're offering competitive compensation. Fuel tank wagon drivers start at $26 an hour. Fuel transport drivers, $29 an hour. Plus, there's a $4,000 sign-on bonus for CDL drivers. Top quality benefits and a great place to work, Harman Energy employees provide totally outrageous customer service. Come be an employee owner with the Harman team. Apply now at HarmanEnergy.com.
As a roofer, every second counts. Late deliveries and incomplete orders cost me time and money. That's why I partner with Beacon. Beacon's unique network of branches work together to get me what I need when I need it. Every branch working together. With Beacon, I know my supplies will be delivered on time and complete. Homeowners rely on me, so I rely on Beacon because I never stop building, and neither do they. Go to BECN.com to get started building with Beacon. Beacon, always building.
When I came to Genesis, I was completely shocked and surprised.
That's Tara Michelle, but like so many of her customers, she's made the switch to Genesis.
Now working at Genesis, I'm able to offer my customers more inventory, more selection, better pricing, better warranties and guarantees.
And Tara loves that now she's got access to the top designers and all the latest ring styles. Over 4,000 choices.
The picture that she's captured on Instagram, they show me that picture. I don't have just one option for them. I have plenty. And we're going to hit it out of the park every single time. I'm not only getting the customers exactly what they want style-wise, but the price is going to be unbeatable. Without a doubt, hands down.
And unlike the other stores, Tara's not working on commission at Genesis, so less stress for everyone.
I'm not putting pressure on the customer to purchase because no one's putting pressure on me to sell. I have the freedom to make it a personal experience for them.
Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
My heart was racing just making spaghetti. I could have waited to tell my doctor, but I didn't wait.
I was short of breath just reading a book. I could have delayed telling my doctor, but I didn't wait.
They told their doctors and found out they have atrial fibrillation, a condition which makes it about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. If you have one or more of these symptoms, irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness, this is no time to wait. Contact your doctor.
Brought to you by Bristol Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
How do you make the most of your land?
If you ask the Wrens, who run with us on a John Deere mower, they tell you,
I mow first, then I do all the trimming.
But the Hubbards, who work behind the wheel of a John Deere compact tractor, would say,
if it's something you want, just go after it and try it.
Then there's the Mosers, who may mention from the seat of their John Deere Gator UTV.
You can't be all work and not play.
There are millions of ways to make the most of your land. Learn how to make the most of yours at Deere.com. Nothing runs like a Deere.
Jonathan Hutton.
You have to put the ball in his hands in that moment.
And Chad Withrow.
My kicker's making no decisions on a football team.
Are in the game. Join them for NFL postgame after every Titans home game. Live from Landshark Bar and Grill in Margaritaville on Broadway. They'll break down that day's game and look ahead to the next one. NFL postgame is presented by Two Rivers Ford, Renter's Warehouse, and Superbook Sports on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, this is Matthias Ekholm. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Where are you in that process, though, as far as, because I know yesterday you said that you're still looking for guys that can cover. Is that something?
We're still looking for guys that can rush and can cover, when they do all those things. We're looking for as many guys as we can find, and we'll evaluate the guys that we have here and try to make the ones that we're rushing here and figure out the ones that can cover. And so, each week is going to be something different.
There you go. That was Mike Vrabel. Just took the podium. Also, hey, it is Preds Game Day, brought to you by Social Furniture. Shop today to get rewarded with Social Cash Back. Buy a $1,000 gift card and get $125 cash back on your Social Furniture gift card. Shop local, shop social in West Nashville. So that press conference to me just felt like the biggest indictment on Caleb Farley that you could possibly have, without Mike Vrabel saying a damning thing about Caleb Farley. I mean, and he tried, as you pointed out, DMase, he brought up his contribution on special teams.
Yes.
But the indictment is the fact that he is not saying Caleb Farley is our guy, Caleb Farley will be playing. The fact that he is not playing, that's the indictment.
Yeah, it is. He's when these questions are asked of him, and he's saying, well, we're still looking for guys that, can rush the passer. That's not the question that he asked you, okay? He asked you specifically about the cornerback in Farley.
Right.
And then he said, well, yeah, we're still looking for guys to cover as well. Well, here's the problem. When you say, well, we're looking for guys to rush the passer, we know why you're having difficulties getting to the passer.
We know that you got injuries on the front four.
So we know
we
that.
all saw what happened to Harold Andre. We all understand that Bud Dupree is dealing with injury things.
We get all of that. But it's not for the lack of you. It's not like you've drafted at those positions and they just missed. You've drafted at those positions and you got one guy that's a Pro Bowler, All-Pro. He's injured. You can't do anything about that. Then you have another guy that's pretty good in Dupree, but he was injured last game. That's nothing we can do. We can't do anything about that.
Right.
But
unfortunately, injuries happen, but we understand what's happening.
Exactly. But we know that once they come back, they are legitimate playmakers.
Right.
Well, in the secondary, it's not that way. The guys that you went out and drafted at that position hasn't worked out. I'm not talking about McQuarrie, because McQuarrie, they just drafted him this year.
He's solid.
He's solid.
He's solid.
We're talking about the drafts prior, when you drafted Caleb Farley in the first round, when he was already injured, when you could have probably got him in the second or third round and got you a healthy cornerback in the first round.
Injured and also not a certified cornerback.
Exactly. This is not a guy that played his whole college career at the cornerback position.
Right.
This is a guy that made the transition. And I'm not saying that when guys make transitions, they don't work out, because you always see a guy that comes into college. He may be playing running back. They switch him, to wide receiver. Then they switch him to defensive back, and it ends up working out for him at defensive back. It was just, those two positions we tried him at, he wasn't, that wasn't for him.
Right.
We found him a suitable spot, and now he's flourishing. Well, with Farley, he never, even at the cornerback position, he never got an opportunity to show all of that because of injury. And now you draft him in the first round. Now all this pressure is on him to become this first-round draft pick that many think he should be, and the guy is not ready, nor is he equipped to be that guy. If you draft him in the 3rd or 4th round, we're not saying anything. But because you chose to draft him in the 1st round, now everybody's wondering and scratching their heads is, can this guy really play? Because what you're telling us and showing us, you don't have confidence that he can play because you chose to bring in somebody else with only 3 days of work and make him an integral part of your defense, whereas the guy that's been here, he was a no-show.
And this is a problem with so many layers because not only is Caleb Farley not on the field a problem, not only did he show against Buffalo that he was a liability when he was on the field, not only is the lack of depth on the defensive line with Harold Landry being injured and out for the season and Bud Dupree being injured, not only does that put more pressure on the defensive backs, but all of that combined, that puts your defense at a step back, and then you add in the draft element of it, the fact that John Robinson hasn't been able to do a whole lot of hitting in the draft recently, and the 2022 draft looks promising.
Yes.
We'll see. But 2020 and 2021, those were bad drafts.
Yeah. As a whole,
and
yes.
it continues to show itself. Because with Caleb Farley, you could look at it like, okay, maybe he comes to fruition. Maybe this pick really does. Maybe we ultimately see what John Robinson saw in Caleb Farley. But you whiff on your 2nd round pick, you whiff on your 3rd round pick. Rashad Weaver might be the best thing that you can get out of this draft class. So not only is Caleb Farley's inability to play the cornerback position, at least right now, a problem, the draft classes as a whole are a problem, and it's starting to rear its ugly head now.
Well, it's going to hurt them as they continue to get into the season, especially, we know this league, and the more games you play, the more you open yourself up to injury. This Tennessee Titan team started off the year on the wrong foot with injuries, with Harold Landry going down, and then Bud Dupree, and then Christian Fulton going down for a game or whatnot.
Right.
So as the season continues to go, you're going to have more guys go down. Eventually, either Caleb Farley is going to have to show you he has the confidence to play that position, or you're just going to have enough confidence in him for him to throw him out there. And again, just protect him. Luckily, thank God, the Titans were able to walk away from this game with a victory, because now we can sort of put that behind us, the Caleb Farley thing behind us for this week,
right?
Because they got a victory.
You're in the win column, and that solves a whole lot of issues.
That solves a lot of issues. But moving forward, going to Indianapolis, they're going to start to need to see something from Caleb Farley where he can be a contributor, not just on special teams, because Vrabel mentioned him during special teams that he had a good block on the return, but he also needs to
Which is great.
Great.
Good job, Caleb Farley.
You did your job.
You did not get drafted to block on kick returns.
Absolutely. You got drafted in the 1st round to be our number 1
Yeah.
corner. So moving forward, they got to find some way that they can get this kid on the field at the cornerback position where he can be productive, because they need this game bad moving forward. We see that Jacksonville's they're ahead of the conference right now.
Right.
And Jacksonville looks like honestly, Jacksonville looks like the best team in the conference in the division.
Really good. Trevor
Lawrence,
Lawrence
like the best team in the division.
Looked like the Trevor Lawrence that got drafted first overall.
Exactly. So if that is indeed the case, and Trevor continues to look this way, they're going to need that defensive back unit to step up, and they're going to need Farley to step up as well if they're going to to do anything in this division. And again, I trust Mike Vrabel. I do. I trust Mike Vrabel that he will get this team to a point where they are truly still competing for the division. I don't know about the AFC as a whole, but this division, I trust that he will put this team in a position to compete and possibly win this division.
Division is still very much
exactly
so at
Absolutely.
play, and at least getting a win here keeps you in conversation for the
Yes.
division. But with Indianapolis coming up next week, your job only gets more difficult, and the games only get more important from there. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. We'll get into your phone since it is your day. It is a Titans Monday, so we'll get to your phones on this coming up next. You can watch us streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook Live every day. Our video streaming is brought to you by the law offices of Amanda Gentry, Caroline Fenton, Derek Mason. It's Chase, Willy, and DMase, 1025-1063 The Game.
2, 3, 4, look. High school football is here. Join Big Joe Dubin every Friday night at 6 for the Ample Collision Center's Game Blitz, presented by National Playmakers Academy.
Just a small sample of these great coaches in our area.
We'll go around the mid-state for scores and reports on all the big games.
If I'm a high school coach, I want the challenge.
The Game Blitz is on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
All right, look, it was a great weekend of football, a wild one, and I enjoyed Screwball Peanut Butter Whiskey with all of my friends. You know it's my go-to, and you know why. Because it goes down so smooth, it's always a hit with the crowd, and it's an original just like me, just like the suit. It's made with real peanuts, real peanut butter, and real whiskey, and it's the most awarded peanut butter whiskey in the world. You can have it as a shot. You can have it on the rocks. You can have it as a peanut butter old-fashioned, an espresso martini. Just go to screwballwhiskey.com for more recipes, and you can do like I do and enjoy it however you like. So when you're out and about with your friends, ask for it by name. Say, I want a Screwball Peanut Butter Whiskey just like the suit, and also do like me. Enjoy responsibly. Copyright 2022 Screwball Spirits, LLC, San Diego, California. Whiskey with natural flavors, 35% alcohol by volume.
Hey, it's Mike from Newton Chevrolet Buick GMC. The weather's starting to get cooler, and you know what that means. It's time for football. I don't know about you, but I've been waiting all year for this. Did you know that the most overtimes ever played in a football game is 7? That's almost 3 full games. It's crazy. I can't imagine sitting there for that long. Here at Newton, we know your time is valuable, especially during football season. We have ways to keep you cheering for your team without sitting and waiting. If your car needs some work, you can schedule online anytime. You can drop your car off at your convenience, and we'll update you when it's ready. On top of that, if you're shopping for a new car, we have Newton Fast Pass. It's the fast and easy way to shop from home. You can walk through the entire process from your couch. We can even deliver the car to your home. So no more missing games. Watch them all. Visit NewtonChevroletBuickGMC.com to start shopping or schedule your service today.
Hey, it's Chad Withrow here to talk about Renters Warehouse. Renters Warehouse is in heavy demand right now in Nashville for 3 reasons. 1, the rental market is booming. 2, with Renters Warehouse professional landlords, you can rent your house worry-free, no paperwork, rent collections. And 3, with regulations changing so quickly, more people are learning that using an experienced property manager is far less stressful. Go to renterswarehouse.com to book your free home rental price analysis today, or call 615-398-9550. That's 615-398-9550. Renters Warehouse Nashville. You can't buy happiness, but you can rent it.
Get your game on at Social Furniture. Entertain in style and make your social experience more comfortable with new furniture. Everyone loves to socialize. That's why you need new furniture. Save big. Professional same-day delivery and installation. Finance interest-free. Get rewarded with social cash back. Buy $1,000, get $125 cash back. Buy $3,000, get $450 cash back on your Social Furniture gift card to spend on accessories, new TV, sports events, or anything you like. Huge selection in stock. Shop local. Shop social. When joint pains cause you to sit out on everyday activities, it's time to make an appointment with Dr. Matthew Beal at Houston Clinic Orthopedics. Dr. Beal can diagnose your problem and treat the joint pain for both surgical and non-surgical matters. Board certified and fellowship trained, Dr. Beal specializes in hip, knee, joint replacement, and adult joint reconstruction. Visit tn.houston.com to learn more about Dr. Beal and to book an appointment online. Houston Clinic Orthopedics, when experience matters.
312 Pizza Company is a family-owned restaurant located in the heart of Germantown, serving up authentic Chicago-style eats right here in Nashville. 312 Pizza Company only uses the best all-natural ingredients and makes everything in-house from scratch every single day. And trust me, you can taste the difference. They've got deep dish pizza, thin crust pizza, their Italian beef. You'll taste the freshness. Stop in for a pint of local beer and a slice of pizza, or order online at 312pizzaco.com. 312 Pizza Company, Nashville's authentic Chicago pizzeria.
Robbie Stanley.
To avoid non-contact injuries and not repeat last year.
Joe Rexroad.
Just wait until next year's national TV schedule comes out.
Robbie and Rexroad. Mornings from 6 to 10 on Nashville's best sports talk. ESPN 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
I'm ready to step this up a notch.
You're listening to Chase, Willy, and DMase on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Chase, Willy, and DMase 1025-1063. The game. Caroline Fenton, DMase hanging out with you. DMase, unless you have a thought, to the phones.
Let's go to the phones.
To the phones. Adam is up next.
Hey, DMase, Caroline. So you know what I heard in that press conference? I heard relief through everybody's voices. They're just relieved, man. When you get to 0-2, we've been there before. It only matters getting a win. It doesn't matter how you do it. It doesn't matter if you squandered a lead that you built. It just matters coming away with a win. I bet the Raiders would give anything to be in our shoes today. So I think about that. Derek, y'all were talking about Caleb Farley. We've seen this before. If you remember Andre Woolfolk, highly drafted out of Oklahoma.
Believe me, I know.
Supposed to be shut down. I remember seeing practices of you toasting this dude. Everybody toasted him. I don't want to say he sucks because he was a really good player in college, but that did not translate, man. Something looked funky with that guy. But that's the same thing with Caleb Farley. He'll either find his way or he won't. But that win yesterday to me, that felt like Mike Vrabel just had written all over it. I mean, it was gritty. I love Stonehouse. If I could say one thing about one player, Christian Fulton was amazing. Stonehouse was amazing, cracking 70-yard punts. But it's just a team win, man. I don't really care how we got it. I'm just happy to be 1-2.
Yeah, thank you for your call, Adam. And I think that's fair. I think that you can, on one side, be relieved and just glad that the Titans got a win. It's just survive and advance at that point. And to this point, the Raiders are in arguably the most difficult division in the NFL, and they're 0-3. The Raiders season feels pretty close to done at this point, if it's not already. So, yes, you have to be glad that you're not in that position, that the Titans got a win, and then you just move forward. But I think you can be relieved and also simultaneously a little bit concerned about what you would have seen, whether it be from Caleb Farley, whether it be, the offensive step back in the first half, whether it be injuries, whatever it might be. You can be relieved and also simultaneously concerned.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, it's just like anything. Two things can't operate in the same space that are sort of, opposite of one another. You can be, like you said, Caroline, you can be happy that you got the victory, but you also can be concerned moving forward as a fan base. Yes, we got out of there with the win. Yes, the team played wonderful in the first half. The second half, not quite so, but they did just enough or stop Oakland just enough that they were able to walk out of Nissan Stadium with a victory. But also, you can say, man, but moving forward, gosh, man, we got some problems.
Right.
Especially in the secondary.
Especially with a divisional game coming up next against the Colts. But Caleb texts into the text line and says, I saw Caleb Farley at a Preds game last year, and the guy looked like Forrest Gump barely walking. There's no question why he sucks this year. He's a bust first-round pick, and J-Rob should be held accountable. Okay, whoa.
Yeah. I ain't going that far.
I'm not going that far. I'm not going to call him a bust. I'm not going to say that he sucks. All that I want to know is, why is he not playing? Then I think that we can get to the next conversation of, is he a bust? Is it an injury issue? Whatever it might be. And holding John Robinson accountable, in the same way that I said that you can be concerned about the Titans and how they looked, but be excited about how they won. I think the next thing is you can be concerned with how John Robinson has been drafting, but also relieved by the fact that the Titans have not had a losing season since he's gotten here. So the drafting is a concern. The fact that you didn't get anything out of your 2020 first-round pick, and then you turn around in 2021 when you need to hit, whenever the depth just isn't quite there in the secondary, and then it looks so far like you missed. So I can understand why fans are frustrated with John Robinson, but I'm not going that far as to say that, one, he's a bust, or two, John Robinson should be held accountable, which I can only assume he means lose his job.
Well, until Caleb Farley shows different, and not just me, but he shows that coaching staff different, he shows his teammates different, then he is a guy that maybe, just maybe, you shouldn't have drafted in the first round. Maybe you shouldn't have drafted at all. Maybe you should have allowed someone else to draft him, someone that can sit down and work with him, someone that has enough depth at that position where they don't have to thrust him into to be a starter. So I just don't think he's, from what I've seen. Now, again, he can change, just like, from what I've seen of the Titans, the first two games, that they were inept in certain areas.
Right.
And this team was looking as if they were going downhill fast, especially after the injury with Taylor Lewan and then Bud Dupree. But they were, at least for one game, they were able to turn it around, and they were able to pull out a victory. Well, with Caleb Farley, he can change, but from what I've seen, I don't think it's coming. I think he will just always be a backup player. I don't think he will ever be a starter in this league.
Really?
I think he will be a backup player.
How much of it can you couch it with, well, he's coming off of an ACL, or, well, he hasn't played a lot of football?
You can say that, but here's the thing about it, is if you have the skill, if you have the potential, you see it. People see it. Like, there's no question I see it. Yeah, you haven't been playing this position a long time. Yes, you've been hurt, but you're healthy now. I see it in you. I see it in you from the physical standpoint, but I really see it in you from the mental standpoint. Like, this defense frontwards and backwards. You just hadn't caught up with it from a physical standpoint because you're new to the position. If that was the case, yeah. I don't think that's the case. Obviously, it's not, because Vrabel didn't put him on the field this year. This week. Why? Because he said guys got to learn concepts and communication and know what to do. That tells me, even if he showed it from a physical standpoint, he's not showing it from a mental standpoint.
And when he's been here for as long as he has.
Exactly.
If you're a rookie and you're not able to make it on the field week one because you still need to understand concepts, if you're a first-round pick as a rookie, that to me is still unacceptable. He was a first-round pick, and this is his second year in the league.
This is not the quarterback position, because outside of the quarterback position, I don't see, maybe the center too, center and the quarterback, because center and quarterback has to know pretty much everything that's going on. So, beside those two positions, there's no excuse you shouldn't know the offense or the defense. None whatsoever. Don't give me he's been hurt, he hadn't played a lot at this position. That has nothing to do with his mental capacity.
It's classroom stuff.
Exactly. That's like, there's no excuse after a year and a half, 2 years really, that you don't know concepts of what we're trying to do. There's no excuse for it. So I will sort of buy the physical aspect that, okay, yeah, he's coming off injury. Yeah, he's just learning the position. I get all that. But from a mental standpoint, there's no way in hell you shouldn't know this defense frontwards and backwards, and you've been here 2 years. That's inexcusable. As a player, that's inexcusable. That means we can't use you. I don't want you out there as a player, and the coaches don't want you out there because you don't know what to do. And that's the way Coach Vrabel made it seem. Guys got to know concepts, and guys got to communicate and know what we're doing. He didn't flat out point to one guy, but the question was asked of Caleb Farley, and he said that. So obviously, that was more so for Caleb Farley, not for anybody else.
You say, from what you've seen, he's a backup.
Yeah, he's a
backup in this league.
Yeah.
TD says he needs to give it more time. When do you think the Titans, when do they have to look at Caleb Farley? When does it get to a point where it's just not going to work anymore, where it gets to a point where he's just hurting this team?
Well, it's not going to be this season because they need him. They need him out there on the field. They need him to contribute in any way possible because they're thin at the position.
And whether it's drafting another corner or bringing in another corner or moving on from him completely, when do they have to make that next move?
Next year in the offseason. They're going to have to. This will be, I would be surprised moving forward, whatever their record ends up being. I think they're going to end up with a winning record. I know they will. With Mike Vrabel as head coach, I would be flabbergasted and floored if they didn't end up with a winning record. Now, whether they win the division, that's a different story. But a winning record, he will have them with a winning record. If indeed, when the season's done, there's two positions they need to address: the offensive line and the cornerback position. You address them with the first pick and the second pick. I mean, first and second round, however you want to do it. Draft the offensive lineman first, corner second, corner first, offensive. It doesn't matter. But you need to start building up that depth at those two positions, because those two positions are critical in this league.
615-737-1025 is our phone number if you have a thought on that. But hey, before we go, I got to let y'all know that it is Predators Game Day, brought to you by Social Furniture. Shop today to get rewarded with social cash back. Buy $1,000 and get $125 cash back on your Social Furniture gift card. Shop local, shop social in West Nashville.
You watch the game.
He scores! Philip Forsberg!
We talk the game.
Philip Forsberg stays here in Nashville, hearing the deal is done. 8 years, close to $70 million total.
We are the game. Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
This segment of ESPN 102.5 The Game is brought to you by Train Heating and Cooling Systems. Tested, retested, engineered, and re-engineered to keep up with you. We run together. Visit traininfo.com to find your local independent train dealer. Traininfo.com. It's hard to stop a train.
Tennessee has always been a state of pioneers. Hardworking folks just trying to find simple ways to protect their families, which is why so many Tennesseans trust us. Need individual plans including dental and vision? Or you're a small business owner and want family coverage? No problem. Just click fbhp.com, call us, or visit one of our many offices. Farm Bureau Health Plans, protecting Tennesseans since 1947.
Hi, I'm Emmitt Smith, Hall of Famer and all-time leading rusher with exciting news.
If you suffer from chronic joint pain, Emmitt Smith wants to introduce you to QC Kinetics.
QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in biologic treatment for pain. I'm talking regenerative solutions that encourage your body to heal and repair itself. No medications, no surgeries, no downtime.
If you have pain in your knees, hips, lower back, and shoulders, don't assume the old treatments are the only treatments. Learn more about how you can get lasting relief with biologic treatments that can repair and restore damaged tissue.
Call to learn more about this exciting natural way to deal with chronic joint pain. Play golf without pain, walk upstairs without pain, play with your kids and grandkids without pain, get back on your job without pain, live your life pain-free. Call QC Kinetics.
Call QC Kinetics, 615-249-4024. That's 615-249-4024. 615-249-4024.
National Playmakers Academy with former Vols Buck Fitzgerald and James Stone, along with former Austin Peay Governor Vic Wright, offer one of the best football developmental organizations in the nation. MPA has over 30 NFL alumni, 800-plus college football scholarship signees, and 25 high school football All-Americans. If you have a student-athlete in middle school or high school that is looking for the best football training and college football recruiting help around, contact National Playmakers Academy today, 615-456-2680. Or email april.mpafootball@gmail.com.
Hey, it's Jared from my official sportsbook app, the FanDuel Sportsbook app. One of the things you got to love about betting on the NFL is that you can always find new players or game props that you like. And what's cool about FanDuel is you can combine these props with other bets from the same game to score an even bigger payout, which is perfect for tonight's game. For instance, Cooper Rush over passing yards, Saquon Barkley, we saw him run all over the Titans, or CeeDee Lamb in receiving yards. It's really simple. FanDuel is easy to use, easy to register, easy to deposit, easy to find your bet, and fast withdrawal. So when you win, FanDuel pays you your winnings fast. There's no feeling like nailing a same-game parlay. So lock in your bet today on FanDuel Sportsbook. New to FanDuel, get $150 in free bets, win or lose, with the promo code JGM. That's promo code JGM. Make every more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. 21 and older and present, Tennessee. First online real money wager, only $10 first deposit required. Bonus issues, non-withdrawable free bets that expire 14 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUZ HD2 Laverne.
Robbie and Rex Road, Chase, Willy, and DMase.
Stowing Company. Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3.
Terang, it's a high fly ball.
We got pass rushers.
Awesome Game 7.
Checkered flag in the air.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Now let's see if we can bring them to life, all right?
Bringing you entertainment and informative sports talk during your workday.
Smart, funny, classy, and I like him a lot.
This is Chase, Willy, and DMase with Chase McCabe, Willy Donick.
Mason, touchdown, Tennessee.
And former NFL wide receiver Derek Mason on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game, and on the Game Nashville app.
This is a new level of geek you got going on here.
Chase, Willy, and DMase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. We are live from the Hillside Medical Game Studios, and we are streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook Live every day. Our video streaming is brought to you by the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry, Caroline Fenton, Derek Mason hanging out with you, and I'm new to this, so DMase and Nick, please walk me through our NFL zingers.
Let's hit it, Nick.
Yes, Caroline, this is something new to you, but it's a fun topic. We always do this once a week at 1 o'clock with yours truly, taking over for Elijah Campbell after he did this last season. So I think the first and foremost thing that I want to address here with you guys is going back down to Miami. Mm-hmm. So the Dolphins handed the Bills their first loss of the season, and Ken Dorsey absolutely lost his godforsaken mind up in the press box or wherever he was. But, you know, I think they still look like they're a pretty good team. I kind of want to hear your thoughts based on, yeah, they walked away with the win yesterday. But, you know, I think they can still challenge the Bills. And I know DMase knows I posed this question last week. So, Caroline, we can start off with you. But do you really think the Dolphins can somewhat challenge the Bills in this division? I mean, the AFC East should be led by the Bills, but hey, I know they were injury-plagued on defense yesterday, but what do you guys think?
Yeah, so I think first and foremost, before I answer your question, let's remember this is not college football. Mm-hmm. This is not where you lose one game and then you're completely out of contention for the postseason or for a championship run. So, you know, the Bills drop one game. That doesn't mean that the Bills aren't still an elite team. That doesn't mean that the Bills aren't still a team that can absolutely win the AFC East and make a Super Bowl run. I still very much so believe that. But to answer your question, Nick, I think Miami showed us yesterday that they could give the Bills a run for their money because it wasn't just a one-off that we saw yesterday. Mm-hmm. We also saw that huge performance from Tua, 6 touchdowns, like 500 and something yards in the air last Sunday. So the Dolphins have shown that they're a pretty solid team, and they've shown us that 2 weeks in a row. Winning a division game against Buffalo is huge. I still think that Buffalo is probably is still my favorite to win that division, but the Dolphins can make things a little bit more uncomfortable. And I didn't think that bringing in Tyreek Hill was going to be the difference between Tua looking like a quarterback that might lose his job and a quarterback that could give Josh Allen a run for his money, but that's looking like it probably is the case. So I'm not completely buying into the Dolphins, you know, taking over this division, but I do think it just got that much more interesting.
Well, we understood that Buffalo, Nick, Caroline, that Buffalo was for real. They're the truth. For
real.
I still think they are the front runners to win a Super Bowl. But Miami has shown us that, hey, they're for real. Mm-hmm. They have shown us that all that talk about Tua last season, the arm strength and everything else, that is a mute question now, at least after 3 games. But, again, the Bills were missing a ton of players on defense, and Miami took advantage of it, and rightfully so. It's not their fault. Their Buffalo guys are injured. But I still believe a healthy Buffalo Bill team going up against a Miami team, I still pick the Buffalo Bills to win, and I still pick them to win this division. So, yes, Miami has shown us they're for real, but until, you know, Buffalo shows me otherwise, I still think they're the team to beat in that division, and they're the team to beat in the AFC.
Okay, fair enough, D-Mace. You were very against it last week, so glad that we could dissect that.
You at least eased up on that take.
Very much so. And
I wasn't buying it last week either. I thought that was a flash in the pan from Tua.
More of a fun question last week, nonetheless. But so now we'll move over to the AFC South, which has been one hell of a division to keep track of so far these first few weeks. But so far, we have Indianapolis, who has tied and taken down the Chiefs. Tennessee has allowed comebacks in the fourth quarter. And then there's the Jacksonville Jaguars. And Jacksonville leads the division now. And Trevor Lawrence is looking more and more comfortable, and he's looking dangerous, honestly. I know that Baker Mayfield wakes up and feels dangerous every day, but maybe this guy does too. So, but how much of a problem can Jacksonville be for the Colts and Titans who got all this preseason hype? Please give me all of the Trevor Lawrence hype that you want to. Please.
Listen, I said this at the beginning of the year. I thought that Jacksonville was much improved. If you're just talking about a team where they were last year and the improvements they made this year, I think Jacksonville made the biggest improvement of any team out there, considering where they were. The head coach, personnel, they made a huge change and a huge improvement.
Much
and
needed.
Exactly. And I said, they may not win the division. I'm not looking for them to win the division, and I'm not looking for them to do anything in the AFC. But what they're going to do is they're going to make it a hard out each and every week for opponents. More importantly, they're going to make it a hard out for the Tennessee Titans and the Indianapolis Colts each and every time they play them. I'm going to go back on that. I think this is the best team in the division.
You think the Jags are the best team in the division?
Are the best team in the division.
Whoa.
Right now. I watched them play yesterday. I watched them play last week too, but I watched them play yesterday. It seems like Trevor Lawrence is the guy we all thought he was. The passes that we were making, the command of the huddle, I mean, the fearlessness to stay in the pocket when people are barreling down on you, the ability to get outside the pocket and still, throw lasers down the field. And he has a wonderful supporting cast around him that are making plays, starting from ATN to his receivers to the defense. This team, led by Doug Peterson, they're not just going to give teams a run for their money. They're going to beat teams. And teams need to start paying attention to them, because if they don't, you're going to find at the end of the season that the Jacksonville Jaguars, that last game of the season that the Titans play, that might be for the division between the both of them.
Oh, and how fun will that be? And also, how stressful will that be?
Oh.
Going into week 17, not knowing if you have a spot in the playoffs.
Exactly.
But to answer your question, Nick, I didn't give Jacksonville much of a look this year, just because I know that Trevor Lawrence and this team will undoubtedly take a step forward not having Urban Meyer, because I think we've seen so far in 3 weeks how much of a cancer Urban Meyer really was for that team. I thought, of course, they're going to take a step forward. I just don't think it's going to be yet. I just don't think it's that Doug Peterson's going to be able to come in and change the culture that quickly, that Trevor Lawrence is going to be able to turn things around that quickly. I thought they would improve, just wouldn't make that big of a splash yet. Now, I'm not here to say that Jacksonville's my favorite to win the division, that Jacksonville's going to make a run for the playoffs, but they definitely look much improved over last year, and they definitely look like they could be a threat. So while I'm not willing to say they're going to win the division, I think that Jacksonville just pulled themselves up a seat at this table at the AFC South.
Oh, they most certainly did, Caroline. That's why I asked the question, is because they look more like a problem for everybody involved in this division. So with all the preseason hype, there we go. So Mac Jones goes down with a high ankle sprain, maybe worse. Testing is still underway. I was hoping to get some sort of update before I had my question. But so now you've got Brian Hoyer, the 13-year veteran who could hold down the fort, and you have Bailey Zappi, a rookie quarterback.
Nick.
Yes.
Bailey Zappi.
Do I hear a Western Kentucky bias coming through?
Maybe a tad bit, but I'm more or less posing the question about Brian Hoyer and their ability to, I guess, hold themselves together, because without Mac Jones, he's that glue on their offense, obviously. So I'm just kind of curious, do you guys think the Patriots will sink or swim based on what we could see from Mac Jones being out long term? He could land on the IR, and yes, okay, Bailey Zappi is not a horrible guy to mention. I just had to throw his name in there. He probably won't play, but I just had to throw him in there. So.
No, I'm just giving you a hard time. He would not be the first third-string quarterback to have to come in and start a game. First and foremost, those photos of Mac Jones coming off the field were bone-chilling. He looked like he was in a lot of pain. So hoping for a quick recovery for him. To be totally honest with you, I didn't think that the Patriots were going to be able to swim even with Mac Jones. They don't have the personnel to be able to compete in that division, which got significantly more difficult now that we see that the Dolphins are going to be a competitor. I didn't think they had the personnel to be able to compete in the AFC. So now with Mac Jones out, I think that just makes it even worse. I think this team going into it had several, just critical issues with the offensive play callers and Bill Belichick not wanting to announce who's going to be the play caller. I think Bill Belichick has a good bit of stubbornness that's kind of holding this team back. I don't think they have solid personnel, and they lose their starting quarterback. I'm not expecting much from the New England Patriots so far this season.
Me either. Now that Mac Jones has gone down, and at the beginning of the year, I said, listen, you could just. There are certain people you just can't count out, no matter what the situation is. Tom Brady, Mike Vrabel, and Bill Belichick.
Bill Belichick.
Those are three guys that comes to mind. There could be more, and I know there is more. But those three guys, whatever situation they're in, you just don't count them out. And that's how I felt about Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots. This season, I felt, yes, their roster is a little shaky. I understand that, but Bill is their coach. So he's going to find a way, like Vrabel, he's going to find a way to pull out some critical games to get this team in a position to possibly get a wild card spot. Now that Mac Jones is down, I don't know how long he's out. If it's a high ankle sprain, how many weeks do they put him on IR? We just don't know. But if the worst is found out that he's going to miss a considerable amount of time, I think it's done for New England. I think they're done. I don't think Brian Hoyer can carry this team let alone win their division. But I don't think he can even get into a wild card spot.
Not many backups can.
Yeah, you're right.
If any backups can.
Your roster needs to be solid, stacked, and set for a backup quarterback to come in and lead you, especially this early.
Unless your backup quarterback is Jacoby Brissett
or Tom Brady. Yeah, so I think they're done. But it all depends on how many games Mac Jones will eventually miss. If it's 1 or 2, I think there's still some hope for him. But if he's going to miss a considerable amount of time, I think they're done.
Is that it for us, Nick?
Yeah, well.
Okay.
All right, cool. Well, that was with the zingers. Appreciate Nick for those. We'll get back into your thoughts coming up next, 615-737-1025. Before we do that, I got to let y'all know that you can catch the Eddie George Show featuring Jonathan Hutton on 102.5, 106.3, The Game tomorrow night at 6 p.m., live from 6 in Peabody. The Eddie George Show is brought to you by Low T Centers.
185! Every team needs a quarterback. 185! That's why we have
Hasselbeck, bootleg, rollout, toss, touchdown!
Tim. ESPN NFL analyst Tim Hasselbeck gives his expertise on all things NFL.
How that team is built, I think there's a lot to like about it.
Every Tuesday at noon, Tim with Chase, Willy, and DMase. Presented by Red Spirits and Wine in Bellevue and BetUS.com on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
All right, look, I have to come in and tell you about Superbook Sports, my official sports book. From Nashville to Knoxville and all around the country, Superbook Sports is your place to wager this football season. You don't need to be at the game to enjoy football this fall. Just download the Superbook Sports app or visit superbook.com and start placing your bets right now. Right now, Superbook has lines up for every pro football game for the rest of the season, plus which team will win the title, who's your MVP, and who will surprise in the SEC. Wager on all that and more right now at Superbook Sports. And along with football, Superbook accepts wagers on every other major sport. So you can bring Vegas to the palm of your hands. It's that simple. And now Superbook will match 100% of your first bet up to $1,000, no matter if your bet wins or loses. Just get in the action right now with Superbook Sports. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789.
October is coming, and hockey season is back in Smashville. The 2022-23 Pred season brings energy, excitement, and the loudest fans in hockey. But the question is, are you ready? Be there for the home opener on October 13th to cheer on your Predators as they face the Dallas Stars at Bridgestone Arena. Tickets available now at NashvillePredators.com/tickets. Get your tickets and mark your calendar. Welcome back, Smashville. Let's go, Preds.
Hi, Hi, this is Trisha Yearwood. The Country Music Hall of Fame and Museum is committed to preserving our musical history and sharing its cultural significance. We invite you to join us in honoring thy music and supporting our mission by becoming a museum member. Membership is your key to accessing a world-class nonprofit arts organization here, locally, minutes from your home. Become a member today by visiting countrymusichallaffame.org/membership.
About 80% of new home buyers don't shop around for the best mortgage loan. That's a mistake. Hey, Willy Donick here for my friends at Loan Pronto. Not all mortgages are created equal. People who use Loan Pronto, on average, save $3,500 in closing costs. They get a better rate, which saves them thousands more every year. Your banker or agent's go-to lenders are fine people, but don't assume they're giving you the best deal. Call Loan Pronto for a quick second opinion or go to loanpronto.com. I'll bet you they can get you a better loan, lower rate, without all those annoying closing costs. And when rates drop, Loan Pronto will refinance you for free. No closing costs. Call to get pre-approved in minutes. They can even hook you up with a high-performing real estate agent if you need one. So call Loan Pronto, 615-499-5780. Or go to loanpronto.com. That's 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender. NMLS 166-1781. Subject to lender approval. Not all loans apply.
We want to hear from you.
Thanks for taking the call.
Join the conversation. Call or text at 615-737-1025. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. This is Chase, Willy, and DMase on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
Chase, Willy, and DMase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Caroline Fenton, Derek Mason hanging out with you. So the Titans escape the game against the Raiders unscathed. They get into the win column, an absolute positively must-have win. And the Titans got it. Survive and advance.
Yeah, so that's the name of the game.
That is the name of the game. It wasn't the prettiest win.
No.
But it was a win. And
Win is a win.
I do think that there are plenty of Titans fans out there that hear everything we're saying about, the step back offensively in the second half, concerns about Caleb Farley.
Mm-hmm.
Why isn't your first-round draft pick out there? Why isn't your second-round draft pick out there from 2021?
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of Titans fans are just blocking it out and thinking, we got to win. Breathe a sigh of relief.
They're saying, Caroline, they're saying, as we're talking about all of these things, they're like, but they got to win, y'all. That's all that matters. And you're absolutely right.
And
that's all that matters at this point.
It is. But it's only week 3.
Yes.
And you got a really tough game, a division game next week in Indianapolis. And so you can be excited about the win and also be skeptical moving forward. There's always there's bad things you can take out of a win and good things you can take out of a loss. Not all win and loss are created equally. But I think my question to the fans is, after 1 week against the Giants, they looked good in the first half. It came down to a field goal that Randy Bullock missed. Unacceptable loss. Devastating loss. Go to Buffalo, and it bruised your ego a little bit. Coming back against the Raiders, you get a win. I know after that loss to Buffalo, I saw it in the text line. I saw it on Twitter. I know a lot of Titans fans were very low on this team. I can't even tell you how many texts and calls Jared and I got about what should we do with the top 5 pick next year.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
This early?
This early. So my question to those same fans now, or to Titans fans in general, do you still believe that this team can make a run? Do you still believe that this team can win the division? Now that this season is alive, now that the Titans escaped 0-3, they got a win, they're 1-2, they're not the only team in the NFL that's 1-2. Good team, at least. Do fans still believe in this team moving forward?
Well, I caught a clip on Instagram of Vrabel's post-game speech to the team. And at the end of it, I believe he said, this is when the season starts. And I know many people are probably looking at that and saying, no, the season started 2 weeks ago and you're 1-2.
You just weren't there with us.
Yeah, you just weren't there with us. Everybody else was starting and y'all were not. But he's right. The season for the Titans starts now. Why? Because they got the Indianapolis Colts. It's a division game. You can lose.
It's the most important game on their schedule.
You can lose 2 or 3 non-division games to the AFC or the NFC. But when you come back in division play, that's when the season starts because as long as you win if you go and win every game inside of your division and win a few games outside of it, more than likely you're going to win your division. And that's the way that Coach Vrabel sees it. Like, listen, we need to take care of our division first, and it starts this week. If we do the things necessary and take care of our division, everything else will fall in place. So he's right from the standpoint of, hey, listen, the season for us has started today. And Titans fans, the season for you have started today going into Indianapolis. Because if they can go to Indianapolis and pick up a win, we're going to forget about the loss to the Giants. We're going to forget about the loss to the Bills. We're going to look at a team that's 2-2 and 1-0 in the division.
And that's the spooky thing about September football. Sometimes I feel like it doesn't even count.
Yeah.
I know that's that's not true, and that's such a skewed way of looking at it. But go to last year, for example. The Arizona Cardinals looked unstoppable through the first 4 or 5 weeks of the season, and then they faltered off and eventually, had a very abysmal season. I kind of look at this the same way, and I know that 1-2 doesn't erase all of the wrongdoings. I know that getting a win doesn't automatically mean that the Titans are, signed, sealed, delivered, because that's the very opposite of what it means. But I do also want to caution people that starting 0-2 is not the end of the world.
No, it's not.
Starting 0-3 might be, but they're not 0-3.
Yep.
And so I look at Nissan Stadium on Sunday, and I asked myself, are people already checking out of this season? That stadium on Sunday was desolate.
Yeah, it wasn't what you have seen in prior years.
No.
I don't think it's what you saw the first game of the season. I think what you saw this past game and what I witnessed is a fan base that is teetering. A fan base that is saying, you know what, we still support our team, we still love our team, but coming out, spending all this money and doing all this other stuff, we're not there just yet.
Yeah.
Because the team has them on sort of this pendulum, back and forth. Don't know where we're at just yet.
When they zig, they zag.
Exactly.
They lose to the bad teams, they beat the good teams.
So fans are walking in like, okay, we think this is a good team, but they hadn't shown us they're a good team. And until they show us they're a good team, we will just support you from outside the stadium.
Yeah, because I saw several photos tweeted out of the stadium, because I wasn't able to make it to the game on Sunday, but I thought the photos were taken like a couple hours before kickoff, and it was right at kickoff.
Yeah.
And I was shocked at just the number of open seats.
It was the same way during the game.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the crowd, and I'm like, goodness, because I came a little after, because we had to do the show first.
Right.
And then I got over and I got in the press box after the first drive. So from the first drive on, I'm looking at the game, but I'm looking at the stands too. And there are a bunch of empty seats. And I'm like, what is going on here? This team has been so good for the last 3 or 4 years that all of a sudden now, after a slow start, are fans already slowly pulling away from this team until they see that this team is a legitimate contender? Because right now, you don't know what the Tennessee Titans are. We know that their roster is thin, but
they're dealing with injury.
Exactly, they're dealing with injuries, but we still don't know what type of team they are.
Right.
A Mike Vrabel team can go out and win 5 or 6 straight, but then they also can drop 2 or 3 against bad, god-awful teams.
Against the Giants.
Exactly.
And the Jets last year.
So we don't clearly know, and I don't think the fan base clearly know what type of team they have this season because of the thinness in the roster.
And I do wonder, is a win all it took for people to get bought back in?
I think if they win next week, yes.
And winning heals a lot of things.
Exactly.
If you're 2-2 going into week 5, I think you'll see a whole lot more people buy in. I think you'll see a whole lot of people want to show up for the games whenever the division is in play or whenever the Titans are winning games. I just don't know if it's winning a game, winning against the Raiders, winning against the Colts, is that what's going to do it? Are fans turned off because of ticket prices or because it's inconvenient to get to the stadium, or is it because they were 0-2? I don't know the answer to that question.
It could be because they were 0-2 at the time, and fans. I think fans had some fans had it in their mind already that, okay, because of the injuries that we have, Taylor Lewan's down, Dupree's not playing, guys that are playing are nicked up. The Raiders seem like they're full go with all of their personnel. It was almost like, well, I'm not going to go to this game. It's going to be a massacre. It's going to be a massacure.
Honestly,
they're going to lose by 30 points.
That's what that's how I felt on Friday was, look at their roster at full strength. You got Max Crosby and Chandler Jones against an offensive line with a rookie on one side and a guy that you got off on the streets on the other. I thought, God, this is gonna be kind of ugly.
It's gonna be ugly. It's gonna be the Bills all over again.
Exactly. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Let's go to your phones. Brent is up next. All right, well, we'll get back into your phones coming up next. Caroline Fenton, DMase. It's Chase, Willy, and DMase on 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Hey, Preds fans.
Running across to make the save is Sarah.
You can now hear Smashville's best sports talk.
The back-hander, he scores!
And every Predators game on 106.3 FM.
Oh, that was a thing of beauty.
From downtown Nashville to Rutherford and Williamson counties.
Duchesne with the overtime winner.
Catch all the action on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
This is a relationship, just like your relationship. Dating and getting married is awesome and fun, but having been married for 24 years, I can tell you it only gets better.
Meet Ward Herbert, manager at Genesis Diamonds, talking about the importance of having a long-term marriage with your spouse and your jeweler.
What's in the DNA here is relationship building. How can we be a part of your love story forever? It's your engagement ring, it's your wedding band, it's your anniversaries, it's gifts for your children, it's being a Genesis customer for life.
Genesis Diamonds, where it's never about making a sale, it's about making a hero.
The greatest joy I get is helping you find your perfect ring, helping you find your perfect diamond, and having you walk out with a huge smile on your face because you know she's going to love it and it's going to be something that you can be proud of forever.
And Ward knows a thing or two about relationships as a marriage counselor and an ordained minister. He can provide a little extra added value.
I did a wedding ceremony for one of our customers 2 months ago. He did not have a minister at the last minute, and I performed his wedding ceremony for him.
Genesis Diamonds, going above and beyond for every customer.
Now you may kiss the bride.
Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Hey, it's Hutton. Guys, do you need an annual health exam? I recommend going to Low T Center to get your complete health assessment. They will check all of your levels, not just your T level. In most cases, it's completely covered by your health insurance. And if you don't have insurance, it's less than $100 for a full lab panel and an office visit with their medical provider to give you a complete health assessment. Low T Center specializes in men's health, making it quick and easy, even verifying your insurance. Go to lowtcenter.com now to book online. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
The Nashville Oktoberfest is quickly approaching, and now's the time to get your dirndls, lederhosen, and party steins ready. From local breweries to live music and festival artisans, you can't go wrong celebrating this Germantown tradition. The Nashville Oktoberfest 2022, Thursday, October 6th through the 9th at Bicentennial Mall in Germantown. Prepare yourself for 4 days of brats, beer, live music, and competitions. VIP experience reservations are still available at thenashvilleoktoberfest.com. Prost, y'all!
Lift it, load it, grade it, grind it, move it, haul it, rig it, dig it, Craneworks, Rentalworks, yeah! The big dog's got it.
Craneworks is ready to help lift Nashville. As the Southeast's most trusted name in crane and equipment rental for over 30 years, Craneworks offers certified operators to make sure the job is done right. Rentalworks has a diverse fleet of equipment to assist in any project, big or small. From forklifts to carry deck cranes, they have it all. When it's time for your next lift, machinery moving, or rigging project, call Craneworks. Visit craneworks.com.
Hose and Belting Specialties in Murfreesboro is your local source for hydraulic, air, water, and chemical hoses, along with conveyor, timing, and metric belt needs. They stock metric fittings for both air and hydraulic applications. Hose and Belting Specialties stocks Parker hydraulic hoses and fittings, Goodyear Conti-Tech industrial hoses, and V-belts, just to name a few of their lines. For any of your industrial needs, call 615-895-HOSE. 615-895-HOSE.
Your home for Hit City is 94.9 The Fan.
Your division champion Nashville Sounds are back at First Horizon Park for a 3-game set against the Memphis Redbirds.
Swing and a miss, strike 3, Sounds win.
Coverage begins at 6:50.
On your home for Sounds baseball, 94.9 The Fan and The Fan app.
Hey, this is Ryan Johansson. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
And
with that division, how much do you put emphasis? It's the first one of the year. It's only week 4. There's a lot of football left. But do you really put an extra emphasis on the fact that it is a division opponent?
Well, I mean, I think you have to play well. You have to beat the teams in your division. You got to, steal a couple on the road, which, this is the next opportunity for that. So I don't think that there's any, we understand that, they're a good football team. But we have to go on the road against a good football team that just beat a good football team and start doing some things better and continue to do things that looked pretty positive yesterday.
This week's Nashville's Best Deal is Monell's with 2 locations in Nashville. Enjoy Monell's Southern comforts like their world-famous skillet fried chicken while spending time with family and new friends. Get half off a $50 gift card to Monell's right now at thegamenashville.com/deals. That was Mike Vrabel at the podium earlier talking next week against Indianapolis, going on the road, and he says, hey, you got to steal one on the road, and this is the perfect opportunity to do that. And that seems like what the Titans are going to have to do when they go on the road at Indianapolis. And the division, I think, just got that much more interesting and that much more difficult this past weekend. Of course, the Colts stealing one against the Chiefs, the Jags with a commanding win over the Chargers. Mm-hmm. I mean, the Jags were a team that I wasn't going to count out, but I also didn't think that it was going to be anything that would give the Titans a run for their money. I thought that this was a 2-horse race between the Colts and the Titans, and the Jags would get there eventually, maybe next year. But I think the Jags very much so have a seat at this table, and I think that the AFC South just got that much more interesting. And I'm wondering, how do Titans fans feel? I mean, of course, the Titans got a win on their own. Mm-hmm. They took care of their own business. They did their own job. So, okay, that's a check on the Titans side. But just how much are Titans fans worried about the Jags and the Colts, considering that they got 2 big wins against 2 big-time AFC opponents, 2 opponents that I expect to make the playoffs?
Well, there should be some worry there, because if you're looking at, Jacksonville. Well, let's go to Indianapolis first, because they're the Titans' next opponent, 1. Mm-hmm. And then 2, they were the odds-on favorite to win the AFC South. Mm-hmm. Before this past weekend, you looked at Indianapolis and you thought, man, this whole Matt Ryan experiment is not going to work. Right. They just don't have enough around him to get the job done. And then, Frank Wright, is he the coach for them? Is this team truly ready to compete and win the AFC South? That's what you were thinking for the first 2 weeks. They were 1-1, meaning they had 1 loss and 1 tie. It wasn't even a win. But then
divisional tie.
Exactly. Then they come out against what many think is if Kansas City's not the best in the AFC, they're the second best team. Yes. They come out and they play a really good game against a very good and tough opponent. Matt Ryan looks good.
Not play a good game.
Absolutely. So to get a victory against the Chiefs, especially headed into the Titans game, was huge for Colts, for that team and for Colts fans. So now looking at Jacksonville, no one imagined Jacksonville would be 2-1. They should be 3-0. Mm-hmm. They should have won the first game of the season. I believe they played the Commanders. They allowed the Commanders to come back and win that game. Jacksonville should have won that game. They should be sitting in a position where they're atop the AFC South. They're atop the AFC period with a 3-0 record. But they're sitting at 2-1. They had a huge victory this past weekend against the Chargers. And it wasn't one of those games you looked at Carolina and thought, oh, the Chargers, because their quarterback's a little injured and, they got some players here and there. And, Jacksonville lucked up on that game.
I did not think that this was going to be a game that Jacksonville was going to be even close to being into with the Chargers.
But
understanding that Justin Herbert was a little banged up. Even still, I didn't think that Jacksonville was going to be in this game.
That Jacksonville still wasn't good enough to beat a Charger team.
Right.
But they dominated that game. The score, the score made it seem, it was further apart than what the score made it seem. Mm-hmm. And I know it still was a lopsided score. The Jacksonville Jaguars dominated that game. they were the better team that day.
Absolutely,
They were
they
the
were.
better coach team that day. They had the better personnel. They had the better quarterback that day.
And Justin
Monday.
Herbert did
I mean,
not
Sunday.
have a bad game.
Exactly. He did not have a bad game.
No.
He made some unbelievable throws.
But Trevor Lawrence was just that
But
good.
Exactly. Trevor Lawrence was just better that yesterday.
Mhm.
So with that being said, they are atop the AFC South. When was the last time the Jacksonville Jaguars at any point in the season have been atop the AFC South? It's been over a decade.
Has it?
Yes. This team has been a dismal for a very long time. Caroline, for a
Really? It's been that
very
long?
Yes. The last winning season they had, they were 12-4, and they were second to, I think, Indianapolis that year. It's
That's
either
true, because
Indianapolis or Houston,
If
one of the two.
Jacksonville was at halfway decent, Indy was probably that much better.
Exactly. So this team hasn't been atop the AFC South in a very long time. But because of those draft picks that are now coming into fruition, they're playing better because they've gotten all that cancerous stuff out of that organization.
The
Urban Meyer,
experiment.
exactly. That old residue and that stinking smell, they've got it out of that building. Doug Peterson has him a team that, from a talent standpoint, is up there with the rest of them. Just from a talent standpoint. Once this team, from a talent standpoint, put it all together and figure it out, they're going to be a very dangerous team. They're going to be the team to beat because they got the quarterback and they got the head coach.
I just didn't think that Doug Peterson was going to be able to turn things around this
That quick,
quickly.
yeah.
And I couch that by saying it's still September.
It's still September, and I get it.
things
Yeah.
can happen, and
Absolutely.
weird things happen in the NFL all the time. But from what I've seen so far from the Jags, a team that I thought, honestly, you could just write off. And I don't mean that disrespectfully. I mean that being a team that has a new head coach and a team that's rebuilding with a lot of young and new pieces, and that's not going to be the case. Let's go to your phones. Phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. One texter checks in and says, my prediction, the Titans finish dead last in the AFC South. No chance they get a win in this division.
I think they'll get a win now. I think they'll beat Houston at least
Not
once.
a single win in the division.
Yeah, that's
I
what
think
I'm
that's a
saying.
little, yeah.
I think they beat Houston at least once. I think they beat Indianapolis at least once.
I think they beat Jacksonville probably
at least.
once.
Yeah, I think this division will be split. It's what you do. It's going to be critical for the Titans to get wins outside of this division moving forward.
But that's the tricky thing is the Titans have the most difficult schedule in the division. So if they split games within the division, they split games with Indy, they split games with Jacksonville, they split games with Houston, I don't see any path for the Titans to win the division.
Yeah, it's going to be tough.
Because they got Green Bay, and they had to play Buffalo, and they have a lot of really difficult games in the schedule that Jacksonville just doesn't have to play.
Absolutely. So it's going to be. That's why I said it's going to be critical. Even if they split in the division,
Right.
they're going to have to pick up wins outside of the division on the road. And Vrabel talked about it. It's
tough.
He's got to steal games here and there and steal them on the road. So
That's going to be tough. Oh, on the road at Green Bay.
it's
Good
going to
luck.
be tough. It's going to be
Good
tough. Yeah.
luck.
But I still believe that, even with how good I think Jacksonville is right now, because to me they have shown they're the best team in the division right now. Even with all of that, I still believe it's the Titans' division to lose because they've won it for the last 3 years. I understand that the roster is different and it's a little bit thinner, but they have Mike Vrabel as head coach.
You still have Derrick Henry.
Still have Derrick Henry, still have Kevin Byers, still have Jeffrey Simmons. You still have playmakers on both sides of the ball. Moving forward, none of those playmakers can afford to get hurt.
Already down one with Harold
Yeah,
Landry.
exactly. Already down one. You can't be down 2 or 3.
Sean texts in and says, win the division, yes. Make a run at the Super Bowl, hell no. Did anyone expect the Titans to make a run at the Super Bowl?
I don't think anyone expected their run to the Super Bowl.
You can hope.
Yeah, you can hope that happens. Once you get in the playoffs, anything can happen.
Anything can happen.
Yeah.
Just get
But I
yourself
don't
in the
think
playoffs.
no one realistically thought that the Titans this year, with the roster that they have, that they were going to make a considerable run to the Super Bowl.
And I don't think that's an indictment of this team, but not making a run for the Super Bowl. You traded away arguably your best player on offense. One of your best pass rushers is injured. Your leading sacker from last year is injured. I mean, even before Harold Landry went down, I didn't see this team as being a legitimate Super Bowl contender when you're competing with Josh Allen and the Bills, Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, Joe Burrow and the Bengals,
Justin Herbert
and the Chargers, Russell Wilson and the Broncos, which that is looking like it's going to be
not looking
probably
good.
a little bit more brutal than I expected. But I don't think anyone should have expected that, just considering how difficult the AFC is. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. We'll get into your thoughts coming up next. But before we do that, I want to give you an opportunity to win a pair of Preds tickets for the home opener. So just be the first person with the correct answer to DMase's trivia question, and you will win a chance to go see the Predators in their home opener.
And here is the trivia question. Seeming that the Preds have 2 games tonight, 2 exhibition games tonight during the preseason. We're going to give you a Pred question, all right? And you have to, if the first caller that answers this question wins a pair of tickets. The Preds acquired a defenseman in the middle of last season. He came from the new NHL team out west. Who is this defenseman? He signed a new contract over the offseason as well. So who is the new defenseman? They signed him in the middle of the season last year. Who is he?
All right, be the first one to answer that question correctly, and you will win a pair of tickets for the Preds home opener at Bridgestone Arena Thursday, October 13th against the Dallas Stars. Not Stillman and Company. Chase, Willy, and DMase, Old Habits Die Hard. Chase, Willy, and DMase, 102.5-106.3 The Game.
Every Wednesday at noon.
No matter the down and distance and no matter the score, they're going to give him the football.
Outkick 360's Jonathan Hutton joins Chase, Willy, and DMase to talk all things Titans and NFL.
I hope that they're not throwing flags simply because the league wants to see more of them.
He's got opinions and insights on the two-tone blue.
They are not as good at wide receiver and the playmaking department.
Catch Hutton every Wednesday at noon. Presented by Blend Bar with Davidoff Cigars on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and The Game Nashville app.
Bar Lines in the Omni Nashville Hotel.
Hey Nashville, Chef Phillip at Bar Lines at the Omni Hotel. Come try some of our new menu items like the Nashville Hot Fish and Chips, Nathan's Hot Dog Burn Ends, or the Nashville Chicken Jam Band. Go Preds.
Attending an event downtown? Dine at Bar Lines in the Omni Nashville Hotel.
This segment of ESPN 102.5 The Game is brought to you by Train Heating and Cooling Systems. Tested, retested, engineered, and re-engineered to keep up with you. We run together. Visit traininfo.com to find your local independent train dealer. Traininfo.com. It's hard to stop a train.
One of the best things to happen here over the last year is the arrival of QC Kinetics. Willy Donick here. QC Kinetics is helping people in our area get real, lasting relief from their joint pain with the latest in regenerative medicine. No drugs, no downtime, no steroids, no surgery. In fact, QC Kinetics has tripled in size. Now with clinics in Nashville, Clarksville, and Murfreesboro, one near you. So if you have pain in your knees, hips, shoulder, back, whatever joint it is, don't think steroids and surgery are your only options. Regenerative medicine treatments at QC Kinetics use natural biologics, healing agents from your own body. It restores and repairs the damaged joint tissue. Pro athletes have been doing this for years, and now it's available to you and me. So many people here have done this and are raving about how they got their life back without that nagging daily pain. Appointments are available as soon as next week, and the consultation is free. So call QC Kinetics and learn how modern precision medicine can help you deal with the pain caused by arthritis or injury without drugs or surgery. QC Kinetics in Nashville, Clarksville, and Murfreesboro. 615-249-4024 for the consultation. That's 615-249-4024 for QC Kinetics.
It's time to swing for the stars with the Nashville Stars. Join the group that's bringing Major League Baseball to the Music City for their inaugural golf tournament. The event is Friday, October 7th at Ted Rhodes Golf Course. Proceeds from the tournament will benefit the Nashville Stars Youth Foundation and the Tennessee State University Athletics Fund. For information about playing or sponsorship opportunities, please visit MLBMusicCity.com and click on events.
It's football season, y'all, and Third and Home at Germantown is the place to watch all the action. Hang out on the patio or grab a spot on Saturday or Sunday in front of one of the giant video wall screens to watch your favorite team with drink specials, wing flavors of the week, burgers, and more. You want to be here.
Tennessee has never been a stranger to progress, and with all the changes going on, people want an affordable way to protect their families, which is why so many Tennesseans trust us. At Farm Bureau Health Plans, helping people find peace of mind has never gone out of style. Just click fbhp.com, call us, or visit one of our many offices. Farm Bureau Health Plans, protecting Tennesseans since 1947.
Jared Stillman.
If you get 3 games where he doesn't turn the ball over, you're going to the Super Bowl.
Caroline Fenton.
I don't know if he would be open to joining another team.
Stillman and Company. Afternoons from 2 to 6.
Presented by TriStar Moving.
On Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
I'm ready to step this up a notch.
You're listening to Chase, Willy, and DMase on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Chase, Willy, and DMase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Caroline Fenton, Derek Mason hanging out with you. And hey, it is a Preds game day. So make sure we're hanging out at Barrel House at Bridgestone Arena as the Predators open up their preseason as the suit hops on with us.
Contractually, I have to appear on the show with my name for at least like 1 minute every day.
Is that how you make your endorsement checks?
I guess.
So tell us about tonight.
Well, look, I think it's going to be fun tonight. A little doubleheader action. Going to see some youngsters, some veterans, some newbies with the Preds. So I think it'll be cool. And guess what? If you're coming down to the game, we're back home in the Jack Daniels Barrel House. So you can come by and see us. Max Hers, as we announced today, will be heading up pre- and post-game, which is going to be awesome.
All right, Max.
Very well deserved.
Congrats.
Darren McFarland will still be a part of things as the host of the Preds Official Podcast
right.
in Smashville Live. So
D-Mac
riding strong.
Nice.
Max Hers riding strong.
Squad runs deep.
Squad runs deep.
There we go.
Excited about all of that.
Well,
and, you two have done a marvelous job today without me.
Well, thank you.
This is my first time in Barrel House in the old digs.
Well, and I forgot. Shame on me. I forgot to warn you to wear a jacket.
That it's cold.
It's a little
But it
chilly.
is
I brought my heat pack.
It's
Well,
Antarctica.
because you're a veteran. It's a veteran move.
This is rookies. Those rookies.
Well, the Patron Club was nice and toasty.
Oh, yeah.
I know a certain someone who would complain about how hot it was in there all the time.
Because he
as you
never
can
complains
imagine.
about anything.
No, but I like that. But yeah, it was a little bit of a rude awakening. But no, it's great. It's great over here, and it's nice to see the old digs.
It's like it's nice to be amongst the fans.
Yeah.
You can see them walking by, the people walking by.
Well,
It's
I'm the people's suit.
There
so
you go.
I want to be with the people.
Absolutely.
That's how.
Truly
that's how I
are the
roll.
people's suit.
People's suit. That's how I roll. All right, you guys wrap it up.
Well, cool, Chaser. Appreciate you. Wow, the suit gracing us with his appearance. It is so nice to be in the presence of Chase McCabe.
There you go.
But DMase, the people have some thoughts. Unless you have a thought to the phones.
No, let's go to the phones. See what everybody got to say.
So a lot of people wanted to chime in about our conversation about people buying in, about fans buying into Nissan Stadium. Because as you mentioned, you were at the game. I wasn't able to make it. But like you mentioned, it was pretty empty.
Yeah, it wasn't what I expected.
Wasn't energetic.
Exactly.
Because I was there, for the Bengals post playoff game, for the Bills Monday night game, and Nissan Stadium was absolutely rocking in each of those games. But I've also been to games where it just kind of feels like everybody's asleep. So my question is, do Titans fans, are they buying out of this team? Are they out on this team? Are they going 0-2 and they just have no interest in going? Or is it just, hey, it's
one of those days.
It's just one of those days
where we decided not to go.
But Nate texts in and says, I don't doubt that Nissan Stadium was empty yesterday. I looked on Ticketmaster an hour before kickoff, and the cheapest ticket I could find was $70 in the 300s. At least 2 people go, so that's at least $155 with fees and taxes, then pay for parking and all the other stuff. That's usually $250 plus in one day. And that's kind of the general sentiment of everybody that's chiming in about this is, look, it's parking, it's expensive, it's a lot, it's a full day thing that they just rather watch the game at home.
Yeah, and I understand it. You can't fault them, especially when your team starts off 0-2.
Yeah.
Had they been 2-0 or 1-1, maybe a couple of more, butts would have been in the seat. But when you come into, your stadium after losing the first game of the season in your stadium, now you come in 0-2 with, many thought this is just going to be a 0-3 game too. You're not going to see as many people as you thought in the seats. But hopefully, the Titans will be away for a month. So hopefully when they come back, this team will have a much better record, and the fans will be ready to support them, not just outside of the stadium, but also inside the stadium.
But I do remember, because my thought is, okay, is it because they're 0-2 or people just don't feel like going? I remember having this exact same conversation, Jared and I, November, I guess, around that time last year. So the Titans had beaten the Chiefs, the Titans had beaten the Bills, the Titans had just beaten the Rams on Sunday Night Football, and we were still talking about how there were not butts in those seats. So I do wonder, is it just...
It could just be the price.
Maybe.
The cost of going to a professional game.
It's steep.
It is steep, and you outprice a lot of people that want to support you, and they feel that, we will continue to support you, but it will be from the comforts of our own home.
We do have a Monday Night Football game tonight.
Yes, we do. Yes,
Cowboys, Giants.
How about those Cowboys? This year's their year, as every year is.
Every year is the Cowboys' year. And every year on
No, it's not.
Every year on the national media, it's the Cowboys' year. The Cowboys are back. Am I wrong in
Rush we trust.
Am I wrong in saying this might be the snooziest of a snooze fest Monday Night Football game?
Yeah, this might be
in a long time.
Because last night was just a barn burner.
Well, last night was disgusting.
Yeah,
last night should have been better than it was.
Last night was awful.
Oh my goodness, I haven't.
Last night was gross.
I don't know if I've. I need to really think about that. But thinking about it right now, without having time to really kind of go in depth, I don't think I've ever played in a game that it was that bad. Now, we may have played bad, but the other team scored a lot of points, and it was good for their fan base. But I don't think either fan base walked away thinking like, man, this was great.
Like, wow, that was a fun game to watch.
And Nathaniel Hackett, woof.
Like
that guy.
Wow.
I mean, the fact that he's 3 games in, and he's having to bring somebody in to help him manage the game. As the head coach, isn't that kind of part of your job, is to manage the game?
But also, do we expect anything different from Nathaniel Hackett? He didn't call plays in Green Bay.
No. Right.
The Broncos hired him for one reason and one reason only, and they cannot convince me otherwise, and it was to get Aaron Rodgers to Denver.
Yep.
They miss on Aaron Rodgers, so now they're stuck with a head coach who's never been a head coach before and has never not never, but he didn't call plays in his last stop. What did they expect?
Because Russell looks lost and frustrated.
Yeah. I'm sure he is.
And he doesn't have any weapons.
No.
So
everyone was so starstruck about Russell Wilson that they didn't think about, who's he throwing the ball to?
You know what this reminds me of?
What's that?
Donovan McNabb, the 1 year in Minnesota. He leaves Philadelphia. Everybody thinks he's the answer, and it's one and done, and then he ends up in Washington. Now, they signed Russ to an extension, so they're kind of stuck, and it's not. I don't think it's Russell's fault.
I don't think it's Russell's fault. I think the coach is going to be one and done.
Yeah.
Just like Josh McDaniels may be one and done too. From what I've heard is they had a long talk with the owner yesterday after the game. He and the owner.
I bet.
It's not looking too good for him either.
Yeah.
T's and P's.
T's and P's.
T's and P's to Denver and Vegas. That's going to do it for us today. Chase, Willy, and DMase will be back with y'all tomorrow at 10 a.m.
We out.